Perfect. I'm going to let everyone in, okay?
And there we go.
Awesome. All right, welcome everyone. Today is going to be a fun Saturday. We have a workshop planned for you today. So as you come in, plan to make this super interactive. Right now, you should not be able to mute yourself, but very soon we will be making it so that it's very interactive. And this is a workshop style session. And today we're going to cover what's next. A lot of you have been passing your Q Bronze. You're on your way to achieving the Q Silver certification. You've learned amazing things for the last few weeks. And again, the question is, what next? Where does my quantum journey start? And to help you with this journey and getting that started, today we have an amazing speaker. She is going to tell you about how do you present yourself before employers. And this is we have a session, sorry, I'm multitasking. We have a session on Monday where we are going to focus on, we'll have a career fair where you will get to meet the top employers in Europe. Later, we'll have a career fair where you meet the top employers in the US. And again, how do you put your best foot forward? So this is why today we have Araceli Venegas-Gomez. She's the founder of QURECA. She's based in the UK, and she has amazing experience in helping students just like you and many other people through industry and helping them succeed and helping them present themselves with their resumes, with their CVs, and also with deciding which career path to take, how do you enter the career field, and how do you begin this journey. So we are very happy to have Araceli here. Araceli, thank you for joining us today, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Prati. The first thing I have to say is thank you very much for the opportunity for inviting me to be part of this fantastic workshop conference super event that you are organizing. So hi everyone, I hope that you are learning a lot about quantum technologies as a whole. I'm not gonna show you any Hamiltonian today. There are no quantum operations today. It's just thinking about your career. So it's more about a reflection. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of things. Just let me know if I'm boring you at any time. And please, if you have questions, just shoot, because I'm here for that. So a little bit about me, just for you that you see that a career path is not a straight line. I'm actually an aerospace engineer. I ended up studying this, as somebody told me, that was a long time ago, that I was a very difficult degree to do. So I said, okay, then I'm gonna go. But I never knew any engineer. I didn't know anyone who studied that. So the first thing is you are very, very lucky, because having information about what it means to do a job is gold. You cannot imagine how important it is to have information before you actually think about the next step. Then after studying in Madrid, as you can imagine, I'm Spanish, I ended up working and having different opportunities around the world. There was no pandemic, as you can imagine. There were a lot of opportunities, and I actually took them all. I think that once you start taking an opportunity, you just see another and you cannot stop. But it was a time where, as an engineer, I had to stop and find a job. So I ended up working at Airbus in Germany, and I traveled a lot to France. And during that time, as a normal person with a full-time job, what do you do in your free time? You learn physics. So that was my evening, my weekends. And at one point I decided, actually it's like sitting down and reflection, about your life and what do I want to do with my life? I want you to do this exercise. That's the only thing I want you to do over the weekend. So I had that question to myself. Maybe it was because I had the crisis when I turned 30 at the time. But anyway, I wanted to study physics. I wanted to learn quantum physics, and I wanted to pursue a PhD in quantum physics. The first thing I can tell you is that I applied everywhere and I got rejection everywhere. You don't know mathematics, you're an engineer, you are a woman, what are you doing here? A lot of rejection, but I was like, it's okay, I will continue. And after years, I could actually have the chance to study quantum, and I moved to Glasgow in Scotland. Every time I go north, and I ended up doing one master's and then a PhD in quantum simulation at the University of Strathclyde. And in 2019, I created QURECA, and I will tell you a little bit more about what we are doing there. So that's my career path. As you can see, not a straight line. So a career plan, you should have a plan, but long-term plan, you want to be a billionaire, you want to have a bakery, whatever that is, that's the long term. The question is, what do you want to do in the short term? What do you want to do next year? What do you want to do in 5 years? Or what would you like? And what should be the path to do that? So a little bit about the whole ecosystem when you think about quantum technologies. You have the researchers, the academia, they do really cool science. And at one point that science gets transformed into an industry, but you also have industry that needs to use this science. Then you have the government and the people putting the money into the science, and also the general public, or people maybe like you that at one point hear about quantum and it's like, that's really cool. All these people in this ecosystem of quantum technologies, they need to understand quantum a little bit, and they need to speak quantum. They need to be part of this community and have a common language. So that's how actually QURECA was created. I won a fellowship from the Optical Society, now it's called Optica, to create a common language, to really fill the gaps within this ecosystem. QURECA means quantum resources and careers. And as you can imagine, careers is a big part of it. It's really to make the ecosystem ready for quantum. We want to create value. We want to have this new ecosystem created and running in the future. So if you come to our website, I want to show you this because there is a lot of information out there already. In resources, you will find educational resources. You will find links to papers where you find all resources right now about quantum, courses, events, games, anything that you want to learn about quantum, you can find it there. And if you cannot find it, drop me an email and I can tell you where to find it. So that's really what we're trying to do, fill the gaps. And we provide different services, of course. We have an educational platform where we have online courses. And if you're a student, as you are, you get, I think, 80% discount. So you will get a certification for our courses, but very, very cheap because we provide this discount for students. We really want to kind of create career paths for students. So if you're interested in quantum computing applications for finance, we have that already. And now we are creating courses in different languages for different career sectors. So anything that you could imagine in Spanish, in Portuguese, coming up. We provide recruitment as a service. So we work with companies all over the world who are recruiting. So if you are looking for a job in the short term, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or even next year, drop us an email because we are there to find a job for you. And as you can see here, we provide career advice and tutorials, really kind of tips and advice for anyone looking for a job. I'm not going to bother you about professional services, but one important thing is we organize a lot of events where we see gaps. We had our Quantum Latino event for the Latin American community every June. We have next event next year in Mexico, but it's an hybrid event, so you can join virtually. We have Quantum Eastern Europe, and we have a careers fair, and the next one will be in February. So if you think that February is a good time for you to start looking for a job, join us in our career event. So another thing is there are a lot of events, as you know, there are quantum events everywhere. We have a calendar that you can access for free, where you will find all academics and not academic events, but all regarding quantum. Okay, so I talk about me and I talk about QURECA, and now I want to show you a little bit overview about the second quantum revolution and what is going on in the world regarding quantum. So we know that the present is quantum because quantum technologies is something that we are already using, lasers, transistors, you know the drill, but the future is going to be quantum. Not just quantum computing, but we have communication, we have simulation, imaging, and sensors. There is really a new ecosystem, different technologies, and you can be part of that ecosystem, depending on your skills, depending on your working experience, and depending on the career path that you want to have. So I don't know if you have seen this before, but in the last years, or in the last, I think since 2018, really this has been booming all around the world, and governments have been putting money into quantum. This is just public funding. There is no private money here. This is just funding coming from the governments, and everywhere, as you see, there are great regions, and that's why I mentioned before that we organize events focused on those regions, but everywhere there are these kind of national programs in quantum. So there is a clear opportunity. People realize that quantum is going to be something big, but we are really at the beginning. It's something that we need time. And Now we have a little, we will have more in 5 years, but it's going to be really in the long term where this is going to be everywhere. So a little bit overview of companies. These are the percentage of companies per region. One thing that I love about this is that it's everywhere. Really, in all continents, you have companies. So we are talking here about quantum startups. So people realize that there is an opportunity. People have very good ideas and they spin out from university or they just create new startups. This is really to show you that there are opportunities everywhere. And going more in detail, here you have per country. Yes, US, UK, Canada, France, and Germany are the places where they have a larger number of startups. But the important thing here is that there are a lot of countries with maybe 1 or 2 startups. And again, we are at the beginning of this ecosystem, which means that over the years, all these companies are going to start hiring. So if you are in one of these countries, or you would like to be in one of these countries that is not one where you have the larger amount, you could be part of the quantum ecosystem. The opportunity is just starting now to be there for you. Another important thing is how is the per sectors. No? If we look at the whole quantum startups ecosystem, we know that a large amount of startups are focusing on quantum computing, software, hardware, or the whole full stack. But there are companies that are focusing on other services and products like quantum communication, sensing, consulting, or education, like we are doing. So one thing that I like to mention here is that, for example, if you're doing a master or a PhD, that is not quantum per se, or even if you're, I don't know, doing electrical engineering, but you're working in FPGAs or PCBs or lasers, cryogenics, you can work for quantum. You don't need to go to quantum software company to work in quantum. There are really opportunities everywhere. It's really understanding first what you want to do. It's not even about your skills. First, like what really would you like to spend your time doing? That's the first question that you have to answer. And then the second is really, how is my resume? What are my skills? And how can I go to that job that I have in mind? So the quantum workforce is a very big topic. I'm just looking at the time. Everybody has been talking about the quantum workforce recently because they realized that, as you probably have heard already, that there are not enough people to be part of these startups that I mentioned before. So what we did, and this is from 2020, we estimated the job growth, so the job market in quantum, taking into account all the estimations for the market in general, how this translates into jobs. And what we have seen, and we actually check this every 6 months to see whether we are far away. And so far, we are good. So this is really steadily growing and growing and growing. As I mentioned before, it's going to be in the long term. It could be 5, 10, 20 years. Once we have quantum computers, that we can see this growth of the market where we will need so many quantum engineers everywhere. So for that, it doesn't mean that you cannot find a job now. But what it means is that if you start educating yourself into quantum now, in 5, 10, 15 years, you can be part of the quantum workforce. So there is an opportunity now, but it's really about the opportunity in the midterm to the long-term future, and how you need to think about education to attain your goal. So thinking about skills, I like always to say this because people think that the only way to work in quantum is about coding skills, but there are a lot of things in quantum. People are building quantum computers, people are building quantum sensors. They need people that are coming from chemistry if they are thinking about applications for pharma. They need a lot of electronics, as I mentioned before. So sometimes it's really about all these other skills that are not just people studying physics and with a PhD in quantum physics. It's about all these other skills that can be used in quantum. Now, 2 things. One, it does not mean that if you have a degree in electrical engineering, you are going to find a job directly in quantum. What it means is that if you have a degree in electrical engineering and some experience in exactly the skills and the expertise that they are looking for in a specific job in quantum, you are the perfect candidate. So you see, it's not so easy, but there is that much that has to be done. And this is what we are trying to do, is trying to understand the talent. So the people who are there, what have been doing, what do they want to do? what are the skills, and what is the company looking for. At the end, in the future, not very far away future, we are going to be all quantum engineers at one point. I think that this degree is starting to shape, and you know that there are more and more masters in quantum at the moment. If you go to our website, you will have a paper where you see all the masters around in quantum. If you are thinking to do a master's in the future, if you don't find that, drop me an email and I tell you where. So this is really a new field. So it doesn't mean that if you are not doing something in quantum in the next 3 months, you know, there's no hurry. Remember, it took me years for me as an engineer to move into quantum. You can be a quantum engineer in the short term or after 10 years. And another thing is not only quantum skills or technical skills are important. It's really about what other things can you show that you have been doing? What other skills you have? Have you been working in a team? Have you been doing an internship? Maybe in data science or machine learning or laser cooling, anything else that you have been doing. Have you been presenting posters in conferences? Have you been, even if you're a coach in a sports team or something like that, anything that shows that you have other skills, this is going to be the difference between your CV and the CV from another person. A lot of people have masters and degrees, and a lot of people have been doing some quantum computing skills or learning in free time. It's really about what makes you different from others. And another important thing is that it's not only technical jobs out there. See, if you think that you love to talk to people, if you think about, I would like to work in sales or in marketing, even if you have a PhD in quantum, I can tell you that right now we are hiring for people who completely different role. They require masters or PhD in quantum technologies, but they have nothing to do with being coding or being in the lab. It's really about other skills. So if you think that you're good at project management or finance, there are opportunities for you there. And one important question, a lot of people are like, where to start? Where can I find this and that? And again, the first question that I always ask is, what do you actually want? Where do you want to go? What is your next goal? So let's start. So that was kind of the first part of what I wanted to say today. We are good in time. Yeah. So I'm going to show you now some examples of jobs that I have found. I'm not going to tell you the companies, but I want you to kind of think about what these jobs are requiring, the title of the role, whether sometimes you think it's misleading or not. So please, if you have any questions, I think I'm going to stop here for a minute. Are there any questions?
Perfect. Please put your questions on Discord, and I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself here as well. So please unmute yourself and ask questions.
I have one question, Dr. Araceli. I've been following you for the last 2 years. So most of the jobs I see are pretty junior level, like a quantum software engineer and that sort of things, or algorithm developer. Are there opportunities for people like to lead, to go to kind of strategic level? And that, because I see some of the companies you mentioned, they have people at senior level. They are kind of they're grown up within their own organization. They are not outside. So then, like, where do you see there's such senior level positions will be opening up in quantum computing?
Very good question. Very good question. Sometimes you don't see them. And that's the truth. As you see, sometimes it's if you talk to the companies or just by chance that you know that maybe they are hiring at that level. So yes, they are hiring at that level. Another thing is that sometimes the titles are a little bit misleading. There are a lot of senior roles for software engineering and for algorithms developers, senior roles. There are team leads, I think they call it team or managers for different technical roles. So maybe managing a team of people, customer facing, product developers. So they are these roles. Sometimes it's not clear, I think, from the job descriptions that they are looking for senior people. What I see is that there are a lot of senior people that are looking for, with a lot of experience, that they are looking for jobs into quantum at the moment. And it's true that most of the roles, they require technical expertise. So even if you have been working 20, 30 years in developing products, that if you have no proof that you have done something very, very close to what they are developing, so HPCs or software, it's very, very hard. So I give you an example. There was a role where it was a team lead for a company that it was opening an office elsewhere. So they were looking for a senior person that it was gonna be managing the business in that other country. But they were requiring the person to have experience in a very, very specific field of physics. So you can imagine that there were not so many. So yeah, hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? So I jump into the job descriptions.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know what kind of skill set did you have while you make the transition to this quantum field?
Yeah, good question. So I didn't go into the details because I didn't want to bore you, and I didn't have much time. So what I did was, in my free time when I was working full time, I was doing a master's in medical physics. Well, that's another story, but I was doing that. When I was studying medical physics, I was learning quantum by myself. I did online training with certification about quantum mechanics, foundational. And with that kind of a package, I started to apply for PhDs. When I applied for PhDs, they gave me homework. That's why I ended up doing a master's. So even though I had a lot of experience in industry, in management and so on, I was an engineer and I was learning quantum in my free time. I had that extra year as a master's student again to catch up with physics, with the fundamentals. So at the end, I end up kind of at the same level that other students to be able to jump into the PhD. And I did a PhD in theory. I haven't mentioned it, but yeah. So I didn't work in the lab myself, but I was working together with experimentally. So that's why I know as well of what people are doing in the labs.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Actually,
No
that's
problem.
actually very useful because this relates to a lot of engineering students.
Yeah, so it's not that, that's why I said here, it's not a straight line. It's really specific. And a lot of things that what we do every week is setting, we have calls with people all over the world, 10 minutes. We kind of understand where you are in your career, what you want to do, and we give you advice, and that's for free. So if any of you would like that, we are happy to have these 10 minutes with you, because I know it's hard. I have been there myself. Yeah. I saw Mustafa with raised hand.
Yes, Mustafa, do you want to?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. In my regions, Iran, there are huge interest among educated people, and but there is a kind of confusion between to choose a career path in quantum industry. I want to know how we can reduce this gap between academia and industry in our regions, and make clear for them the path to choose the best career in this ecosystem.
Oh, very good question, Mustafa. Very hard to answer. Everybody's trying to have a solution for that. At the European level, we are just trying to set up something pan-European, so with all countries that we can set up, so working with universities and industry together. I know what is happening in US, and we are trying to have discussion with people in Asia. So we are trying to create something new because we see that there is a clear gap. Even when I was a PhD student, I realized that the students didn't know what they could do after the career. So I think it's really being aware about where to find information. And if the university is not telling you where, then we can tell the university to tell you where. That's really what we are trying to do. I think I need to jump into the descriptions. Otherwise, Rashi, is that okay?
Yes, please.
Good. Let's go with the first one, quantum algorithms researcher. So if you think about the name, quantum algorithms researcher, researcher means you're going to be doing R&D in algorithms. Pretty clear, right? Okay, so if we have a look at the responsibilities, in the second bullet point, you can see in red, inventing key intellectual property and publishing scientific papers. What I want to say with this is that it's pretty much what you would do during a PhD or a postdoc. I'm saying this because a lot of people think that if you moved into industry, you are kind of losing your research and academic experience. But as you can see here, you can be doing exactly the same just in a company instead of a university or an academic institution. But if you have a look at the third bullet, they said you work on problems on real world impact. And that's the difference probably between doing R&D into, in this case, in quantum algorithms in a company in comparison with academia. You will do something that with a clear impact, with a clear deadline. There is a clear application of what you are doing. In general, I know that there is applied science in research as well in academia, but in general, when you are doing your PhD, you are doing something that maybe the impact is very, very far away. And if you're working in industry, your impact, normally, we want it in the short term. And this is really important because a lot of people would like to continue doing science, but with a real world impact. So maybe this kind of roles could be interesting for you. Now, on the right-hand side, you see that they are looking for people with a PhD in quantum computing, but then they say, or equivalent practical experience. What I could say is that's very hard because there are not so many people with a lot of, let's say, a PhD, let's say 3-4 years experience already in industry with quantum algorithms. But this is changing because every year we have more and more people that maybe they started working in algorithms 2 years ago. So then at one point you actually could say people that have been working in that without a PhD will have the same experience that people coming out of a PhD. Again, in maybe some years. So it doesn't mean that it has to be right now. Then it has to be, in this case, very specific. So they are looking for someone that has been working in quantum algorithms. And this is something, it's not that you have been, but not just an evening that you have been working on short algorithm, learning in your free time. It's really about someone that can show that has been working on this in his or her research. So it's really, really important that you can show that. Of course, Python, I put Python in red because seriously, that's what you need. If you can show that you have been working in Python 2 or 3 years, even if you have a little bit of quantum, you have much, much more chances to get a job in quantum than if you have been working in C++ and you have a PhD in quantum without nothing about quantum computing. It's hard, but this is really the case at the moment. Quantum software libraries, so you have been learning a lot during these weeks and in the coming weeks, so please learn as much as possible from all the different companies. There's Qiskit, there is Circ, there is AWS. Try to get experience in all of them to show that you have been, even if it's a little bit with them. And then individual project priorities, again, soft skills are very, very important. It's not just about you are doing your research and it doesn't matter when you finish, because you will have to have a clear plan on when to do that. And I know as a PhD that sometimes it's hard because research takes time. So when you are working in industry, you have to think about deadlines. That was the first one. The second one that I have here is called Application Scientist Quantum Technologies. And if I read that title, I would say that that's a person doing R&D because it says scientist. Now, look at the responsibilities. Establish new customer contacts. Talking to customers has nothing to do with being in the lab or coding. Represent the company at trade shows. Has nothing to do with being doing R&D. It's really like you're going to be representing the company. I find it really cool, but it might be that this is not the kind of role for you. But produce materials such as product documentation, website content, has nothing to do with working in R&D. But they are looking with a PhD in physics. They are looking at someone with scientific track record, which is kind of hard because how many scientists that have this particular research field and the track record would like to actually work representing a company in trade shows and contacting customers? Maybe not so many. So you see, there are really a lot of things out there. And I think that if you look at the title, if you're looking for things that are actually about working with customers, you wouldn't apply because you would say, this is scientist. So what I could say here is you can always check a little bit the details of the job description because you never know what they actually look for. Third one, atomic physicist. Again, very, very specific. This is a very R&D scientific role, but they want someone that is leading. So they want someone that is contributing to the project direction. Not everyone with even people with postdocs are able to have that kind of a lead and have a say when you have to tell a thing of people you have to do this or the other. You need some soft skills to be able to do that. And about what they are looking for, again, a PhD, working knowledge of control system, machine learning, and signal processing. And I say this because I don't know all of you, but a lot of people coming from electrical engineering, for example, if you have been working in signal processing, and you can show that you have an additional, maybe a master's in quantum technologies, that maybe kind of fits into these, depending on the role, of course. But this one is very, very specific. And the last one that I wanted to show you was the junior software engineer. That, as you see, has nothing to do with quantum per se, but this is for a quantum company. So it's really about being able to deal with, I don't know how familiar you are with daily Scrum, sprint review, and all these kind of management skills and experience. You have to review code submitted by your colleagues. You need to be able to understand the code from others. So here they want someone with the software engineering experience. So if you look at the profile, they want someone using Python. And even if this person doesn't have a master's, that's okay. But look at the next bullet point. You have full work rights in our country. And I have to mention that this is sometimes one of the worst things that is happening, because I have so many great people that I would like to say, I'm going to send your CV to this role, but I cannot, because maybe you cannot work in that country because you're coming from a country where you cannot work for a particular role, because maybe the money is coming from the government and the government doesn't, they have a lot of political things there. So yeah, it really depends. So don't desperate, there are always options. But I wanted to mention the last bullet point here on the right. You are humble enough to bend to the will of the frameworks. You don't mind being the one that looks bad. You make mistakes sometimes. I feel like, I love it. Seeing this first, I would say this is a really cool company, able to write this. I think that's very, very good. And not everyone is able to say, I know when I do mistakes. So this is to say, first, you need to be humble enough. And second is, if you do mistakes, it doesn't matter. So don't be shy. It can be the role for you. I think that's why I love this one. So I think that was what I wanted to show you now. Where are we? Okay. Any questions about the roles?
What is one feedback you would give to students? So the students have a career fair on Monday, and I'm encouraging them to look up all the companies, understand what the company does, look at the job description. So what would be your advice as they prepare for a career fair, especially when they look through the job descriptions?
That's a very good point. It's really trying to have one-to-one the job description and your CV. If you have a very good CV, that is the next point, or even thinking about your skills. If you have 70% of what they are looking for, go for it. You don't need to have 100%. It's true that sometimes if you don't have 90%, you have nothing to do. But sometimes, even if you have 50%, it's not. It doesn't really matter. It's just really about saying, do I really want to do that job? That's the very first thing. Does it look attractive for me? Then try to match your CV for that role, and then talk to the company. And if you want to talk to companies informally, that's a perfect opportunity on Monday, because you can talk to companies. What are you looking for? How can I improve my CV or my skills to work at your company? But if you want to be really prepared for, if it's your dream job, I would say try to prepare for Monday. I don't want to scare you, but I think Monday is really an opportunity for you to practice, to understand what they are looking for, and informally to ask questions. You have nothing to lose. You can go there and say, do you think that someone with this profile, do you think that I can get a chance to work in your company? What do I need to do to be able to work at your company?
Great. Thank you. We have so many questions coming in from students, but yeah, we can keep going for now, and I'll keep interrupting if there are more questions.
Okay, so we go on CVs now. Now, I don't know where you are. I guess it's a little bit of everything. Some undergrads, graduate students, PhDs, postdoc, people after 20 years, the whole range. Again, and I mentioned this 100 million times because I think it's so important. It's really, what do you want to do? And if you really think that you want to get a job in quantum, am I ready to get a job in quantum? So the most important thing, as you can imagine, is your CV. So what we do when we get the CV from someone, so we work with a company is telling us we are looking for this and that. Then we either publish a job description somewhere, or we look within our database or LinkedIn, or we go to the different career fairs and we hunt people, right? So once we receive a CV and we see a match, so the first thing is your CV has to be already looking good, that we say, yes, I want to talk to that person. We will have a meeting, and that will be the first interview. That's kind of a filter interview for all the companies, because we will get to know whether we think that you're a fit for specific roles. The first question that we are going to ask you is, what do you want to do? And then we are going to see a little bit the different options. But we will always go to your CV and give you advice on how to improve your CV. Again, we can do this in our career advice that I mentioned. We are there for that. So send me an email if you want that. 5 minutes. August is the best month because there are not so many meetings. So take the chance for this. So how to build your CV? One important thing, let's start with who is the audience. Are you going to send in this for a PhD position, postdoc, or is going to be a job in industry? Because it's going to be different. I don't want a CV that is telling me you have been presenting posters in I don't know which conference if it's a CV for industry. That's not what industry wants to hear. I will tell you how to put this in a way that the industry will understand what you did. But in an academic CV, you put everything that you have been doing. In an industry CV, you want to have it looking good and 1 to 2 pages maximum. As I mentioned before, you need to tailor to the job, and we always help you to do that. Now, how to make your CV look good? Bullet points, as you see, I love bullet points everywhere because it's clean. It gives you a very nice design for your CV. Formal tone, try to be organized. I love these new CVs with some color because it gives that you have spent some time thinking about how to show your CV to others. Avoid any abbreviations. You know, I know things, I would say, a lot of things in quantum, but I'm not an electronics engineer. So sometimes if you're using a lot of things very, very specific, I would say, what do you mean? So even don't use QC for quantum computing or things like that. That doesn't look good. Strong headings. So everything, for example, all your experience, all your degrees, use always bold, always starting at the same, use the same spaces everywhere, and always some white spaces, not like showing half of the blank space in a page. That doesn't look good, but not everything condensed. I know it's hard, but we help you with that. And really, no more than 2 pages. I hate when I receive 20 pages CV telling me everything that they've been doing. It's not necessary. And please, 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 always a PDF. Don't send a Word document. No, that doesn't look good. I know, and I've been doing this myself in the past. You say, I have a Word document, but I can take your Word document and write anything. If you send already the PDF, that's genuine. You know, and it takes 1 second to do a PDF. But always have the Word document because you will have to change it for the different jobs. The question, photo or not photo, personally, why not? I think in my last CV version, I don't have a photo, but I think before I always have a photo. Why not? Some people say, I don't like my name. People don't know in general if it's a woman or a man. So people would like not to show the gender just by the name. So it's really up to you. I don't have any opinion on that. Use an email address with your name. I know that some people have physics22 at gmail.com. That's very cool, but that is not looking good for a CV. There are some personal details that are not needed. You don't need to say when you were born or your age, or whether you are married. You don't need to put this in your CV. Don't lie, very important. You can tailor some information in a way that it looks better for the role, but you never lie because they are going to ask you in detail. And if you are lying, they will see it. And always check spellings and how it looks, because that's very, very important. So some top tips for writing a CV. At the top of your CV, 2 or 3 sentences about who you are, what you are looking for, similar to what you find in LinkedIn. Of course, you need a LinkedIn profile if you're looking for a job in industry. Have a LinkedIn profile. Sorry, it's mandatory. And don't ask all your 20 million friends to say that you are the best doing project management or something like that, because we will see it and it doesn't look good. So be genuine, be really honest, because endorsements are great, but it has to be really. And if you're a student, we understand that you don't have endorsements. That's clear. Avoid using cliches like I think here, results driven. You can say that, but show that is something genuine and go for you. Again, we help you with this. Go digital. So if you have a GitHub blog post, your LinkedIn can put all this in the CV. In my opinion, it looks really good. And check that the link works, because a lot of times I have to say, your LinkedIn link doesn't work and I cannot see your profile. So check that it works. Take the time for tailoring the CV to the job. Check the spelling. It's very, very important. It's very hard, but check 100 million times. And I think that's all what I want to say about CVs. And we are going to jump into some CVs. We're doing it's okay. So I just want to say that everything is going to be fine before we jump into some CVs, that you are going to have a successful career. I'm pretty sure about that. Maybe not next month. Be patient, because everything could be a very integrated career path, but everything will be fine. And we are there to support you. Here you have my email. You can just drop us in the contact form at QURECA website. Anything, we are there to offer you different resources. So now let's see if there are any questions before we jump into CVs.
Perfect. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. In the meantime, there is a question which I think a lot of students will ask. Araceli, in your experience, how have you seen students overcome the barrier of, you mentioned immigration, visa processes? What has been the easiest way? And I know we are not here for legal advice, but what have you seen works with different participants?
It really depends so much. I don't like to generalize. I don't like this kind of tables saying these are the salaries, these are the ways for visa, because it really is a one-to-one case. If you are the person that they are looking for, believe me, they are going to wait for you wherever you are. I have a case where somebody got hired and they waited 6 months because this person couldn't go to the embassy to get the visa. So 6 months is a long time. So it's really depending on the role. If you're in the US and want to stay in the US, think about the fact that some companies will require a green card, or really that you have to show that you have the right to work there. Some others, they don't care. Some others, maybe a company in Canada, if you are in Spain, they wouldn't care and they will hire you. Another thing is that what I'm saying, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but sometimes now the case is that you will get a contract not where the company is, but where you are. This means that if the company is in the US, but you are in, I don't know which country can I say right now, but Ecuador, for example, you are going to have an Ecuador contract. This means that you are not going to get a US salary, but an Ecuador salary. And this is something that I think, because there are companies doing this, we are not doing that, we are not legal or anything, but we know that this is the case. So be realistic that as well, I've heard from people coming and saying, oh, but I heard that the salary, I can have $200,000 for a quantum engineer role. You can in some companies, but not all. And if you're working in specific countries, you will never get that salary, believe me. Not even the CEO has to get that salary. So has to be realistic about the company, the country, and a lot of different things. Now, it takes time and you have to be honest. If you are in a specific country and you want to apply to a company where they really want to hire people in the same time zone, for example, like the case where people say, I can hire someone from South America because we are in North America, but it has to be in this time zone. We cannot hire someone that is who is in Singapore. So there are really different constraints. I hope that helps, because these are kind of genuine cases that I have seen.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that experience. We have 2 more students. Oais, if you want to unmute yourself. Otherwise, Firdaus, you should be able to unmute yourself. Let me check again. Go ahead, please ask your question.
I'm not able to unmute.
Yeah,
we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It got unmuted now. Okay, I was going to type. Okay, so yeah, I just started with my quantum journey and I'm in my 40s and I'm determined what I'm doing, but I still want to hear your perspective. Does age really matter since the industry is still in infancy? And the other question that I had, which in a way you already answered, I wanted to know how open the companies are for hiring someone who works remote. Like I'm in India. There are companies that I'm interested in that are not in India. So yeah, I hear from you that mostly companies would like to have candidates in the same time zone. That's definitely a preferred thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but as far as the programming side of the IT side of things is concerned, I think remote working should be something that companies should be comfortable with.
A very good question. To be honest, right now I would say 80% of the cases is hard, even if it's remote, because they will say if it's remote, I would prefer that the person is in this and this country, maybe because they have offices in those countries, or because they have people already working in that time zone, because it's maybe the time zone. The good thing is that now we are actually looking for people in India as well, because there are companies in India, which is something very, very as new as we haven't even started hunting to people right now. So if you're in India and you have software experience or Python experience, to be honest, send me your CV, because there are opportunities right now. So this is the short question. The short answer to your question is that it's hard, to be honest. But if you're willing to relocate, people can wait for you if you have the right skills.
Araceli, we have a lot of questions coming for you. I'm curious, should we get into the resume portion? And then my next question is, we've decided we will shorten Alan's part. So Alan is going to train you on how to deliver a pitch, but starting 12:15 p.m. So this is your 6:15. We can, or your 5:15. You're in the UK, right? You're 5:15.
I'm in Spain right now, but yeah.
Perfect. So in about half an hour, we can just, oh, you're in Spain. Yeah. So in half an hour, we can open it up to full Q&A. We can have people ask more questions, have them talk about pitches, both. So we make a joint Q&A between you and Alan. Is that all right? Would you have some more time?
Let's finish and then let's see. Perfect. If that's okay. Yeah. So let's go down now into the CVs.
Yes, let's do that, and I'll hold the questions.
Perfect. So I understand you have been you have agreed to show to me sharing your CV with the others. So I'm gonna start. I open them, so there is no particular order here. So these are my 2 cents. If you talk to another recruiter or to another person, this person might say something else. But thanks, first of all of you to send to really sharing your CV here. I think that's very good. So Afaf El Kalai, I tried to pronounce your name correctly. You have your picture. I would say, why not? I love that. I love that you have some colors. I really think that the design is very, very good. You're saying who you are, pluridisciplinary. I would say multidisciplinary, and probably better than pluridisciplinary. Just if I'm gonna be super picky to everything that I'm saying. So I have been really going into details. What can I say about any of them? So engineer passionate about quantum computing. I would add something what you're looking for. So this is one sentence. I will add another sentence like I have machine learning experience and I'm looking for quantum machine learning opportunity, something like that. So first you are saying who you are. Now I will add one sentence what you are looking for. If I go down, so I would put first experience and then the education, because your CV is for industry. So I want to see whether you have industry experience. That's the most important. So I will always look first at your experience. If you are a student, try to put anything else that you have been doing Again, if you have been a sports coach or if you have been doing some research lab, put that as experience first before the education. So I would change that. So first the experience, then the education. Again, really picky. In the second one, you say 6 months. We already say from when to when, so you don't need to say 6 months here. And also, it doesn't look good because if I'm not going and some, it's from January to June, I don't even look at that. But if you put here 6 months, it looks like, oh, that's very short. I go down. You say your age. There's no need to say anything about your age. No personal details. I like that you put your certification. You have a mix of French and English in your CV. I checked that, and I have seen this a lot, so don't worry. Again, we do this for you if you have your CV and you send it to us. So please check that everything is in English. I like that you put the levels in a way that everyone understands, and even your certifications for languages. I love that. You see, all these extracurricular activities are soft skills and other things that are giving you that kind of extra skills for your CV. Your GitHub and your LinkedIn, and it works. I already checked. So yeah, that's kind of my feedback on this CV. I don't know, Afaf, if you are there and you want to say anything.
Yes, okay, thank you for all the remarks, and I appreciate it.
Perfect. No worries. Yeah, I go to the second one. Rodrigo Miquel, 1 page. I like that. I think, Rodrigo, that you can put more things. I see very, very empty. So yeah, you put your work experience and then your education, but I'm sure that you can put more things. And again, I'm okay to sit down with you 10 minutes and try to fill these, because you can put more things about what you have been doing during your degree at the university. I like that you have said who you are and your interest. If you were looking for a job, again, you would probably say something else, like looking for whatever. Software tools. That's good. Again, if I would be really picky, I could say, instead of saying advanced, native, and basic, you could use Spanish, mother tongue, or native, and then English B2, and use this kind of a level system that they use for languages. You could do that. Or you could even put your Cambridge certification. You could put it, as we saw in the CV before, close to show that you have that level, and the certification to show that you have that level. And here, deep learning, actually, that's really cool. You have to go to the bottom to see that you have some certification on deep learning. So you could actually use that at the top of your CV. And then you're saying recently graduated, but then I go education from 18 to present. So if I was gonna interview you, I was like, okay, tell me, Rodrigo, what are you doing right now? Have you graduated or not? So it's really about, if you actually graduated, you say education 2018 to 2022, and then you will put something else about what you are looking for or who you are. Again, I'm happy to sit down with you to trying to answer that, because that will give a lot of more information. And actually, again, being picky, because you say work experience, high school, Universidad Panamericana, and calculus advising, that looks, if I go to that, I have the feeling that your highest degree is high school. Sorry, it's very confusing. So I will tell you how to kind of transform that in a way that it looks a little bit, let's say, better for industry. So yeah, it's very general, but just some of the points that I've seen. I don't know if you are there, Rodrigo, if you have any questions.
We can move on.
Okay. So next one. Sorry, I need to go down. So I hope that I pronounce the names correctly. People normally don't pronounce my name correctly 80% of the time, so sorry about that. So Amirali Malekani And it's sad. That's very, very hard. But first of all, I really like your CV. I think it looks very, very good. Really being picky is like 3 pages. No, go to 2 pages. I will help you to do that. Trying to, oh, it's you. I can see you there. Hey, hi. So yeah, we can do that. We can go to 2 pages. You are saying who you are, what your interest. So again, you could maybe add what you are looking for, depending on maybe on the role. Your work experience first. I like that. It looks really good. The skill summary, you have programming, machine learning, AI, quantum computing, data science, personal. You can, instead of personal, you can say soft skills. It's good anyway already. Awards received. It's really Malaya or Malaysia? Oh, Malaysia, okay. Projects. Volunteer work is very good. I don't know if you really need a 3rd page to say that. And here you have a lot of blank space, so we can actually just try to get that information small without going into details here at the bottom. And then you have 2 pages. And yeah, it looks good. Any questions, Samir Ali?
Yeah, otherwise, good job, Amirali. And can you unmute yourself? Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm really glad you liked it. For sure, I feel like there's a lot of room to improve on it, especially as you know, the 3rd page. I really like to integrate in the 2nd one. And the reason I left a bit of blank in the 2nd one is that currently I'm doing some of projects in parallel, so it's gonna be filled like at the end of in the next few months. So. But still, I would really like to reach like 2 pages, really concise. You could just skim through it. No need to like, as you said, like read a book to understand the resume. So, for sure, I would really appreciate your help. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and because there is so much information in the 2nd page, you can try to do it in use Excel, and you use this as a table that everything will be in different cells. Then you remove the grid. And it will look much organized. We can even think about using grid that is, dot line, like very shadow, but it will have that kind of a separation. I like it, but it might be that some people in very scientific people will say, oh, so much information. So yeah, maybe that will improve it. But I think it looks really good because you have been doing a lot of things. And again, it has to be tailored to the job anyway. So it depends on what job you will have to show that you have the skills for that job.
Thank you so much, Miss. Thank you so much.
Good work. Okay, I'm going to the next one. So we have here Satyam Priyanshu. Okay, so the first thing that I would say is you don't need to write curriculum vitae at the top because that's your curriculum already. So you want to say who you are. So as we saw in the cases before, write your name and who you are and what you're looking for at the top. There's no need to write curriculum. And I was always doing that in the past as well, but now it's not needed anymore. I don't know if Prashi has shared with you some the templates that I sent. Yeah, good. Yeah. So that can give you some ideas. But again, I'm happy to check your CVs. You are saying that you're a master physics student and a research enthusiast. So that information is telling me that you are probably not looking for a job right now. Again, if you are actually looking for a job, maybe you will have to think about how to tailor that information. You are putting your education, I'm just checking your education at the top, but some of the things that you have been doing during your education could be translated into actually experience. If you have been doing, I don't know, maybe you have been doing some research, you have been taking care of a students association or anything like that. If not, that's fine. That's okay. If you are graduating soon, you can say when you're finishing the master's. So you're saying currently doing. So again, that information is telling me that you're currently doing a master's and I don't know when you're going to finish. So you're not looking for a job. So if you think that if you are actually looking for a job, just say Master of Science, finishing, I don't know, October 22 or something like that. So more information about that. To be honest, I don't like so much when I see the modules from what you study, because a lot of people, if I know that you have been doing a Master of Science in Physics or a bachelor's in electrical engineering, more or less I have an idea of what you have been studying. So there's no need to put all the subjects that you haven't studied. What I would include is the kind of project work or your thesis, things that are very specific, that are more related to probably what you want to do after. So here you have graduated with your bachelor's in physics, but I don't know if you did a thesis and what, because if you show me already that in your bachelor's you had a thesis in quantum computing, for example, that will give a lot of more information about your skills for that. So you're telling me about your research interest, that's very good. But first, it's a little bit mixed about everything. I'm the same. I love a lot of things, but you don't need to put everything out there. So it's really about what is important information to show that. And that will be tailored to the job. So once you are in a position to look for a job, we can sit down and tailor your CV for that, at least in general for industry. Skills programming Python, well done, because that's the most important thing. Scilab and PSpice is also, they are both of them really needed in a lot of roles at the moment. Event attending, I don't know whether it should be important to put it here, mainly because if I look at that, you say that you went to one about trapped atoms, very good, if we are here talking about quantum, but then the other one is about cosmology and astrophysics. That's very cool, but don't put it here because that has nothing to do with quantum. And it's not showing any extra skill that it could be useful for that. Your contacts, your email, and your phone, not the Skype, not needed. If you have a LinkedIn, you can use your LinkedIn here. And awards and achievement. Why do I have to go to the bottom? And you told me that you were going to this cosmology summer school, and I have to see that you actually won some awards. So you see, there's no need to tell me that you attended this event. You can say, if you present in the future a poster or you give a talk somewhere, you will put that. But that's what you actually put in awards. So there's no need for this event attending section. So I say a lot of things, but I think there is room for improvement, but it's okay. You are currently doing your master's. There's no rush. So we are here to help you. And again, try to improve that. I don't know if you are there, Satyam, if you have questions.
Yeah, Satyam, let me unmute you if you have questions.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me know about what should I include in my CV and what should I don't. So it will really help me in a near future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And the last CV I have here, you are giving me a very hard time with the names. Sign up Bushbook. I try my best. I like the design. I'm really a fan of having very organized. I guess I work in Germany for a very long time, and a lot of people were really picky about put everything, at the same line and things like that. So it's very good when I see things like that organized. I love that. Master student interest in getting professional experience and research opportunities in quantum computing. Perfect. You are telling me who you are and what you're looking for. Now, if I go to education information, you said the master's degree is 2022. Again, I will have the same question as I mentioned before. So are you a student or you finished already? Because if you graduated, you can say master graduates or graduate or something like that. We can try to find how to, or you can even say if your research project was in quantum entanglement and decoherence, you were probably working in theory. So you can say quantum theorist or quantum master graduate in quantum theory, interested in getting professional experience. That's much better than saying master student if you have finished your degree. And then you say physics and new technologies. That might be the degree. I don't know, because I don't know all the degrees in the world. But if it's actually, if these new technologies is just in physics, I would probably don't put it. I would just say master's degree in physics. And always remember, physics is with capital letter because it's the subject. Key skills, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, C++. What you could do, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. I will ask you if I need to, because we are looking to recruit sometimes, and I will say, are you familiar with Excel, things like that. But here that you want to show your computing skills, I will actually remove that and say programming skills or computing skills. So you can show that all the rest is actually computing skills. So just remove the first bullet point. You also have a little bit mix between French and English. So here you have it in Anglais, you have it in French. So remember to check that everything is in the same language. So just write English in this case. So here, when you say 2017 to 18, license in physics, option mechanics, and energetics, I would actually like to understand what that means. Maybe it's a master's, but again, physics is with capital letters, and then option mechanics and energetics, you can put it in brackets, and it will be a specialization. So you can say ESP, mechanics and energetics. So being picky, but I will have to understand how to put that better. And then you say interest, scientific research, lecture, and associative work. I don't know what you mean with lecture here. I will need to sit down with you and say, what do you mean? And maybe find another word to put there. So for example, here, again, at the end, being picky, you say June, July, and July, just use capital J. So it's about, it looks really good, it looks organized, but then if you find some misspellings, it looks bad, and people will say, so it's really trying to go in again and again and again looking for misspellings, and they are always there. So don't worry, it's completely normal, but just trying to think about that. That's kind of my feedback. Sign up, do you have questions? Okay.
You should all be able to unmute yourself. Perfect. Zainab, I just unmuted you as well. If you have any questions or follow-up.
Thank you very much for your remarks. It was very helpful for me. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. Very good. It's the first time that I'm doing this exercise live, and I was like, let's see how it is. Yeah, very, very good. I love it.
And actually, students are also helping each other and giving feedback based on the feedback you've given. They're now sharing ideas with each other. So this is awesome. Fantastic. Yes. So thank you, Araceli, and thank you especially for taking time on a Saturday. She has a young family, Araceli, and still on a Saturday. So congratulations. And she's taking the time to talk to us. I will definitely share Araceli's information. And Araceli, if you don't mind putting it on the chat here as well, your contact information. Many students want to be in touch with you. And then, of course, students, you will get the slides from Araceli and her contact information. I'll share it on Discord as well. We also have the live session on YouTube, so go through her points and feedback again. And if Araceli is available, we will also, if she is available for a few minutes to stick around, then in 15 minutes or so, we will make it an open session, and then you can ask her more questions.
Okay, so you want me to join in 15 minutes?
If you're available, we'll have Alan go. Alan is just here. He can talk about pitches, and then we'll make it an open session. Hi, Alan. We'll make it an open session, and students can ask questions about how to pitch, how to present themselves, how do resumes and pitches go together. So if you're available, we would love to have you.
Okay, I see you. This is really fun. So I see you in 15 minutes. I come back in 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. You are fun. Okay. Raj, can you make Alan co-host? And unmute him as well. Awesome. So everyone, welcome. Alan, can we quickly do a mic test?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Awesome. So everyone meet Alan. Alan has trained many founders through many years on how to present yourself. These founders have great technology, great business model, but they don't know how to pitch. And you are exactly in the same position of learning how do you present yourself. You spend 20 years studying, pouring yourselves over books, but you have to be able to tell other people what you know, what you understand, and what you're capable of. So to tell you how to do that, we have Alan Brody. So please go ahead, Alan.
All right, well, thank you. So let me begin by saying that the most important thing in any presentation is connecting with the person you're presenting with and building credibility. All right, so whatever advice I give you, if you establish a connection with somebody who finds you credible, then you probably don't have to listen to too much about what I'm telling you, because that's whatever you're doing, that's what you're aiming to get, right? You know, so in other words, whatever the rules are, they're there to help you create a credible connection with somebody who matters. And that's true about pitching for a new idea, for money, for grants, or for a job. If people like you and they feel that they trust you, that they find you credible, all the other stuff kind of clicks in very nicely. All right. So this is what you're aiming for. That's your guide. All right. So what I'm going to tell you are really guidelines, because I actually have a book called The Formula, the Startup Funding Formula, because there is a kind of a formula, but it's a very loose formula. It's a conceptual formula. And the idea of the formula is to get you to credibility with somebody who matters. All right. So that's the key. Now, the point about a formula, what I call the formula for pitching, and we're talking about startups, but honestly, it applies to everything, is you have to establish, number one, that you have some type of qualification that entitles you to make this pitch. Because people always want to know, who are you? Why are you giving me this idea? Now, obviously, if you've been in business for a number of years, or you're somebody who has built a reputation, that works for you, but you're young. So you've got to find something in your background that establishes you as a credible person to make this pitch. So that's number one. And it could have been a working in the, some type of volunteer work or whatever, something that established you as the kind of person that can make this happen. So being uniquely qualified to deliver an idea that's going to make you and that investor either rich or successful, or it's going to be jointly useful. All right, you have to keep that in mind. There's got to be something in it for the other person. Otherwise, they're just going to nod their heads and say, that's very nice, good luck. So there's got to be something that's in it for them. Whatever that is, it could be to get rich, it could be to further the goals of an institution. Like, for example, if it's an academic institution and you have an idea that can help that institution, improve its reputation as a training place, as a research area, then they're interested. But if there's nothing in it for them, it's going to be hard. Okay, so that's the basic formula behind every pitch. You are uniquely qualified to deliver this idea to make both of you money. Now, the other part of the formula, which is what I call the equation, this is very important, because this is going to change how you look at your idea, is that at the end of every pitch, it has to break down to a calculation that the person that you're pitching to can determine whether or not it's worth their while to invest in you. And that could be investing in a job, investing in a voting, if you're voting to be class president, like what's in it for the voter to vote you as president. So this is what I call the formula, the equation at the end of the formula, is you've got to be able to say what's in it for them if they either invest or back you. And the way this works is they're going to ask, what does it cost for me to back you, multiply by how much am I going to get out of it? And then it's divided by how good you are, or multiplied by a percentage of how good they think you are. You understand this? So how much do you need out of them? How much shall they stand to make if they back you? And how credible are you in delivering this? So if you ask yourself about your idea, how would they evaluate these three things? How good am I doing this? What's it going to cost? And how much they stand to get from it? If that is above a certain threshold, you probably will get the deal. But it's got to be significantly, it's got to stand out. And this is the measure. Now, once you figure out what that should be, then you need to go back to your presentation and rethink it to fit that number, or you're not going to get funded or backed or hired or whatever. It's this, whether you're a politician running for office, you have to tell the voters, if you vote for me, I'll lower your taxes, I'll stop the war, the price of gas will go down to $1. People get interested. Now, they're going to have to decide, are you telling the truth? Of course you're not telling the truth. So you're going to lose some points. But if they like you, they might vote for you anyway. So you understand that once you get what people want out of you and how they are likely to see you, then you shape your pitch accordingly. But if it doesn't result in the end to something that they can crunch, whether it's numbers or some type of calculation, you probably don't have a pitch. And I tell this to people because it's a wake-up call for them to look at their idea from the other person's perspective. All ideas, all presentations, even if you become a lawyer and go to court, everything that you do, at some point you have to stop and say, and you may not be able to do this, you probably need another person to do this for you, to look back and say, you know, from the perspective of another person, this is what it looks like. And you must have this conversation before you make that pitch, or you will be surprised by things that you never imagined matter. Because what matters to you is really not the same as what matters to the people that you're presenting to. So we run workshops to help people see their idea from another point of view. And I can assure you, it doesn't matter how experienced or successful people are, these workshops are always valuable because everybody's caught up in their own ideas. And they have words for this, by the way. They have words for people that just love their ideas to death, that they can't see it from the other point of view. And so, for example, in scientific circles, where they have scientists who just love their ideas so much, they have no idea what it's good for. It's called molecule fondling. Scientists just love their molecules so much, they just want to play with them all day long, and no one has any idea what it's good for. So they don't get funded. So it's not you. You could have 3 PhDs and still make the same mistakes. You have to be able to get out of your own head and enable yourself to see what you have from another point of view. All right, so these are the techniques that we use to enable you to ultimately get to the point where you have a good idea, that you look credible to present it, and you connect positively with the other person who matters. That's the formula.
Thank you, Alan. So I have 2 questions. One is a note actually to all the students. If you remember what Araceli also said of how do you get into a company, and tying back to Alan's formula of like, how do you establish your credibility? If a company hires you, what is in it for them? What can they expect? And then of course the cost of maybe a visa application and filing you and waiting 6 months to get you to the country, because you know the value that you're going to add to their company is going to be much, much more than all the effort they're taking now. So that's exactly the value you need to demonstrate, which Alan is bringing here. I guess the second point, Alan, it's a question for you is, can you give us an example of a good pitch? And do we start with an introduction, what we're working on? Should we end with an ask? What is your example of a great pitch?
Okay. All right. So like I said, the first thing that you need to do is to establish why you are the person that should be making this pitch. Because you see, with investor presentations, but actually with all presentations, it's really about the person first. They have a word for it, they have a term for it. It's called the jockey over the horse. All right. So what that means is that you can have a great horse, but if the jockey's bad, that horse isn't going to run very well. That you can have a mediocre horse, but a great jockey will make that horse win. All right, so it's the jockey, depending on who you talk to, the jockey is 60% of the equation, the horse is 40%. Some people tell you the jockey is 80%. So in other words, you are 60% more important than your idea. So a lot of startups think the idea is going to do the sale. I got a great idea. This idea is going to win, blah, 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 blah. And the investors go, no, we're interested in you. Tell us how you are going to make this happen. The idea probably will change over time. You get hired for a job, that job will change over time. You will change over time. The demands will change over time. But you as a person, probably not so much. All right, so they're looking for a certain quality in you and then your qualifications that go with it. Now, there are some companies that will say, well, if you went to Harvard, if you have all these great schools, we'll hire you. But most savvy companies look for people who are overachievers. All right, because a lot of people can get through great colleges. There's ways of doing this. But an overachiever, somebody who's hardworking, goal-oriented, who wants to make things happen, that comes from within. You can't make that up. So your job is to show that you have this. And everybody has it to some extent. So you got to show that you can make things happen, that you're driven, that you can follow, take orders, follow whatever they're looking for, but you have to show it comes from within. So, so the first thing you want to do is show that you are capable of making things happen. Once they feel that you can do that, then they want to hear the idea. So generally speaking, you say, listen, I've worked for so many years in such and such an industry, and I found out what the customers really want. Here's the idea. They're interested. Now, if you're starting out in life, you don't have that. But what you might say is, well, it depends. If the idea is focused on young people, then you have a special insight because you can say, this is what young people want today. I know because I'm one of them. Here's how it works. Fine. You're now uniquely qualified as a young person to pitch this idea. But let's just say you've invented some chemical formula that challenges the ideas of older people. Then it's different. Then you'd have to show how you got there, why this is a unique breakthrough, how many older people believe that you're the one. Look at Elizabeth Holmes. I don't say you should be a liar like she was, but look how she persuaded amazing people to put up fantastic amounts of money. You got to learn from that. Just don't be a liar. But what she did is exactly what the formula calls for. I invented this while I was at Stanford. My professor thinks this is great. I have these partners. So you can see, I hate to put it this way, but what con artists do is a textbook on how to persuade people. The point is not to be a con artist, to be an honest artist. But how they do it is really, you just look at it and you can see they win with their personality and their credibility. And then people believe their story. So do what they're doing, but have an honest story.
What is your advice to build that connection early on, especially when we are all moving to things virtually? You don't have that strong handshake. Yeah.
Okay. So, so generally speaking, if you're and this is true, like if you're a startup, you have to read your investors. So I'm going to go with startups, so that's what I know. So the first rule of startups is to figure out, so the way you read investors is you look at their portfolio, you look at what they've invested in before. And then what's most important is you look at what they succeeded with before. Because whatever they succeeded with, they're always going to be looking for another version of the same thing.
I'll just quickly interject, Alan, sorry. And for students, definitely look at companies, look at the kind of products they're building out, and also look at the key, as he said, like look at the kind of roles they're hiring for. And the other thing I like to do is reverse engineer. So I also like to see who they've hired in certain positions and what skill set that person was hired for. So say they hired, again, an applied scientist, and they're looking for an applied scientist. So I find that in the job description. I see they already have 3 other applied scientists. I'll go through all of those people who actually managed to get into the company and look at their profiles as well.
Okay, so you know what? The word is reverse engineer. That's exactly what you're doing. So in order to reverse engineer, if you think about it, let's just say you wanted to reverse engineer. Well, let's put it this way. You have an idea, right? So you work on that idea. At some point in time, you have to reverse engineer the idea. In other words, you have to say, what do other people make of this idea? And then you, once you understand their expectations, you cater or you cultivate your idea to match those expectations as credibly as you can. So let's just say, if you're an engineer, you're looking for a job, right? So you look at, say, Bechtel, or I don't know, say Bechtel Engineering, right? It's a big engineering company. You look at, so what are they looking for? If you're an overseas candidate, you look at who they invited who they hired from overseas and why. Maybe it's a language issue. Maybe they do business in an area that you are possibly, they understand you to know about. It could be a language, you might know a language that is important to them. But once you figure that out, that's part of your pitch. That's part of what would make you credible to them. But you need to do that homework. Now, with investors, you can look at the portfolio. I mean, as a startup, you can look at an investor's portfolio and you can see, let's say for argument's sake, if somebody made money on crypto or social media, you need to look at what it was and see how you relate to that, so that your idea should echo what they succeeded with in the past. You should also look and see, how did that idea get to them? So a lot of times ideas that are invested in, there's a champion. So I want to talk, this is sort of like the secret hack of all pitching, is finding a champion. And that's why I say having this connection is important, because champions come in different shapes and sizes, right? So at a company, if the hiring person likes you, they're going to make you sound good to the managers that will ultimately hire you. So you need to find out who that champion / gatekeeper is, and that's who you're talking to. I mean, I can tell you stories of managers, even not CEOs, but almost CEOs, who wanted to hire somebody, but then they send them through the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper doesn't like them. They don't get hired, because the top person says, do you take care of it and let me know when they show up, and they don't. So you need to figure out who that person is. That's the linchpin that you're really talking to. So that's your homework. That's your challenge. Like, what do they want to enhance their job? Why would they want to hire you? So you got to kind of figure that out in the hiring situation. In the investor situation, you're looking for a champion. You actually want somebody who not only wants to write you a check, you're really looking for somebody who likes you so much they want to tell their friends about you, their colleagues. All right, and that works with jobs. If you impress somebody who thinks you're great, they're going to stand up in the boardroom and say, hey, you know what? I met this kid and they're wonderful. We ought to hire them. People aren't going to argue. They're going to go, you really feel that way? Fine, do it. We like it. So you're looking for that champion in anything you do, even in politics. If Biden likes you and you're running in a by-election, you're probably going to get elected. So a champion is a big deal, and you always want to keep out who would speak for you, because a referral is worth 10 times your own pitch. So anytime you're referred, that's worth 10x over just you speaking for yourself. That's true everywhere, even in the dating world. If your friend pitches you to a prospect, you're going to get a date. But if you just went on your own, you probably get rejected. So a referral is what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who likes you enough that they will tell other people about you. That should be your guiding element in any pitch you make. Is this person going to like me enough they're going to tell others about me? And what would it take to get them to do that? And once you get a feel for that, you're going to go far. And part of it, of course, is understanding what drives them. So a lot of times when people, sometimes these are referred to as mentors, or you always do better in anywhere, any job, anywhere in life if you have a mentor who's obviously powerful. Sometimes they're called rabbis. Now these people, if you can find them, generally speaking, see a reflection of themselves in you. So anytime you meet somebody who sees a reflection of themselves in you, you need to work on that. All right, that's not random. That's not passing. That is your ticket to get ahead. So anytime you make the connection, if somebody says to you, oh, I went to the same college as you and I remember blah, 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 you need to stay with that. Because that person probably will become your mentor at some level.
That's great feedback. So students are coming in with questions. I actually want to open it up, invite Araceli back and have students ask questions about the resume pitch and how do you tie these two together? Because on Monday, Alan, students are going to meet with prospective employers. And the question for them is when they hand in their resume, so we actually have a database of resumes that we give to the employers. But you know, when the students say, my name is so-and-so, I graduated from this university, I have these years of experience in studying quantum physics. In fact, I did this amazing thing in my lab. I joined the Womanium quantum program, and here I am, I'm looking for X job, you know, this is what I'm most interested in. So how do you tie that resume and pitch together? This is what we'd love to learn from both of you.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, in an ideal world, let's just say it's quantum physics, of which I know absolutely nothing, but let's imagine that I do. So let's imagine that in your investigation in quantum physics, you found out, so I learned something about isomerization. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but isomerization just means that if you take a compound and break it apart, the chances are, well, if you know what you're doing, you can actually reform another compound out of the same elements, out of the same atoms. And so it enables somebody to create, essentially, let's put it this way, and again, I'm making this up, coal might have the same elements as gasoline. And if you could isomerize coal, you would have cheap gasoline, which would be a better burning element than coal, say, coming out of West Virginia. So let's say, for argument's sake, that you have spent years in the lab perfecting a version of isomerization, and now you have this business idea based on that. You've established a connection. So what I'm getting at is whatever you did in the lab, you have to show that it has some important critical value on the pitch that you're making. And if it wasn't in the lab, then it's something else you did. You have to show that what you've done has an application in the real world. And that's why, if you think about it, now in science, obviously, if you're pitching, you know, if you're looking for a job, your resume matters. Like, what did you learn? You did something in the lab, blah, blah, blah. That applies to science. But generally speaking, when people get hired, unless there's an absolute specialty they're looking for, in other words, you have to know something about, you know, nuclear physics, otherwise you're not going to get this job, fine. But what they're really looking for are people that know how to apply the ideas that they've worked with. So oftentimes in the liberal arts, which you're not, but if you were in the liberal arts, you'll see a lot of people, you know, studied medieval literature. Now, how would you get a job in an ad agency if you studied medieval literature? Well, you could if you said to them, you know, Chaucer was actually able to sell pilgrims on the idea of going to Jerusalem just on the basis of this book that he wrote. Now, the ad agency was like, that's pretty interesting. Like, imagine getting a middle-aged person to travel 5,000 miles by foot because you read your book. What did you find out about this Chaucer guy? All right, all of a sudden, medieval literature doesn't matter anymore. All of a sudden, 600 years doesn't matter anymore. All of a sudden, you've shown them that you got an idea from this obscure area that you could apply today. Because if you could figure out how Chaucer got somebody to travel 5,000 miles by foot to the Holy Land, you might be able to get some idiot to buy your toothpaste from Maine.
Right.
At double the price. All right, you get it? So you learned, you got insight out of it. That would separate you from every other person, because most people say, here's my resume, this is what I studied, now hire me. And the hiring manager says, no, I'm going to hire somebody who's going to make something happen in this company. Show me you got it, and I'll be interested.
Awesome. Yeah, students are loving it. Thank you, Ellen. I'll open it up please unmute yourself, ask your questions, introduce yourself, ask your questions. And if you have, let's start practicing with your 1-minute pitch. How would you introduce yourself to a prospective employer based on everything Alan said? So unmute yourself and pitch yourself, and then ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. This is Rajdeep. I studied history in my graduation class, and I am doing a computer science master's now in the US. And I would like to put a question to Araceli, ma'am, that what are the chances for getting an internship? You spoke about the job market and all. What are the chances of getting an internship? Because I am myself is not ready for the job because I have to complete my master's. So in the quantum domain,
I'm going to cut you off right here. So what is your 1-minute pitch though? Like, how are you going to pitch to prospective employer?
I am a student of history who is doing technology, and I have come a long way in 3 years' time and doing well now. And so if you hire me, I can add value to your company, which might be out of question, which might be very much in a very less time. I can bring in a lot of things under constant circumstances, under a long constant time.
Okay, so I want you to refine that pitch a lot more. Make it very clear. 3 things I have, because I have history and computer science, which is very unique. What are 3 things that you can bring, which is a very unique skill set you have? So talk about that and bring that out a little bit more as well. Think about it and try to bring that out a little bit more as well. Because everyone is going to add value. Everyone is going to do that, of course, otherwise they won't even talk to you. But be very specific on what kind of unique value you can add with your background.
Can you hear me? Can I step in here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Look, the challenge is very simple. I'm not saying the answer is simple, but I'm telling you the challenge is simple. You have to show that you found a connection between history and computer science or programming. That's what I'm listening for. I'm like, okay, you did history. It has absolutely nothing to do with programming, unless you found a connection. Well, if you told me that in history, you were an expert at remembering dates, so therefore as a programmer, I remember entire chains of commands, or I know loops or whatever, I get interested. Really? I never thought of that. They have nothing to do with each other. And somehow history set you up to be this. That's great. All right. Everything that you do, you have to show that you figured out how it prepared you for what you're about to do. Because the guy that's going to hire, or the woman's going to hire, could care less about history. They just want to know that their code's going to get done. So if you tell them that history, look, if you talk to recruiters in technology, if you came out of the military and you did technology in the military, they'll hire you on the spot. Why do you think that is? No one's getting shot in Silicon Valley. So why do you think that a recruit in Silicon Valley will hire a military trained technician over a non-military trained technician? Because they're military trained. They know how to show up at 9 a.m. They know how to keep their mouth shut, otherwise they're going to get into trouble. I mean, they're good workers. So as long as they don't have PTSD from battle stuff, they're hired. So you got to show that history uniquely trained you, made you uniquely qualified to be this kind of programmer. I get interested. The more you make the connection, the more credible you become.
I understand.
All right. Static stuff on a page. I once saw Reverend L. Sharpton. I don't know if you know Reverend L. Sharpton. He's a very controversial guy. But I saw him once give a speech about civil rights. And he said, I have this woman, grandmother, who got beat up in Selma, Alabama, and she's really important. And he's talking to a guy who went to Harvard, and he says to Reverend Sharpton, I went to Harvard, I got a resume, I don't care about this woman who got beat up in Selma, Alabama. And Reverend Sharpton said to him, if that woman hadn't gotten beaten up in Selma, Alabama, nobody would be reading your resume today. Okay? So you got to think about it. Somewhere along the line, you got to show you got an insight, you took a challenge, you did something that made what you're doing today relevant. All right?
Right.
That woman had to get beat up so that this black man who went to Harvard suddenly becomes interesting, other than just, and I mean, credibly interesting. Like people will hire him because something happened in the lineage that made it worthwhile. And you got to show it in your world that something happened. You got an insight, maybe you won an award, but it applies to what the job that you're seeking for today.
Yeah. And maybe also explain your pivot. Actually, maybe Araceli has to go as one last thing, I guess, closing up on your question, Raj, of how do you start with getting into internships and then into jobs for the quantum world? How do you make that first step?
Yeah, sorry, I need to go in the next 3 minutes or so. So I wanted to answer. So I really like what Alan mentioned. I say, just take what are the skills from studying history that are going to be unique to show in your CV. How can you translate that opportunity, that experience, those skills and those whatever you, because sometimes I say, people say I have studied these subjects. Nobody cares about that. It's really how studying those subjects translating to skills that are going to be useful for the role. So answering your question about internships, it's hard because there are actually people with PhDs thinking that they need to go into internships. So the competition is very high. But following Alan's words, you really need to show that you are unique to actually get the opportunity. So I would just say apply. Try to translate that uniqueness from your experience into the CV that can people say, yeah, I want to give an internship to this person because I never heard, and I actually never heard of someone with a history background going into quantum, and I have been talking to a lot of people. So yeah, and I'm happy to check your CV if you want. I need to go now, but a pleasure being
Thank
here.
you, ma'am. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Araceli. Okay. All right. Alan, how much time do you have?
Oh, I'm around. It's fine. I'm very settled here. I just want to add to this. You know, in the process of innovation, there's a very significant feature that pops up a lot. It's called cross-fertilization. All right. So that means cross-fertilization means that an idea from a completely unrelated area can make a huge difference to another area if applied properly. And some of the biggest breakthroughs in history have come through cross-fertilization. So you need to borrow this technique, because when anytime you are going from from one area, even if it's just going from an academic training to real world situation, there's some element of cross-fertilization going on. So it's your job to show the relationship. I'm going to give you some examples so you understand what I'm talking about, because if you do this right, it's very powerful. So let me give you one example. So one example you folks might know is in the mining world. All right. So once upon a time, when people went mining, they would crawl on their hands and knees. It's a terrible thing to do. And one day, and it was very, very wearing on the knees and whatnot, but they did it. This is how you mined. And one day, a cricket player was taken on a tour of a mine. And he said to the mine manager, why aren't they wearing cricket pads? And they said, well, we never thought of that because we're not playing cricket. He goes, well, if you had cricket pads, they could crawl on their knees all day long and they wouldn't show any fatigue. So now miners have some version of cricket pads if they're crawling around. And now you know that people who do rollerblading and all kinds of things wear some version, including carpet layers and roofers wear knee pads. Go look for knee pads 50 years ago and see if they sold them anywhere. So that idea went from cricket to mines to roofers and to carpet layers in the space of about 50 or 60 years. All right, that's cross-fertilization. Because that cricket guy knew nothing about any of these things, mining, roofing, or carpet laying. He was a cricketer, but he saw the connection. So this is what you have to do. Now, another one's also very famous is ulcers. So for years, doctors thought ulcers came from stress. But one doctor grew up on a chicken farm in Australia, and he noticed a connection. He noticed that there was a bacteria that showed up in patients that looked very similar to a bacteria that he saw in chicken farms. Now, the reason why nobody thought bacteria would work is because bacteria normally get killed by the stomach acid. So they believed in stress as a cause of ulcers. But since he had the experience on his dad's chicken farm before he became a doctor, he knew that there was this one bacteria that could actually survive. It happened to be in chickens. But it was enough of a connection that he was able to find the similar bacteria in ulcer patients' stomachs. He wound up getting a Nobel Prize and changing the world. But I need to point this out to you. He was also very controversial. So a lot of people don't necessarily like that. So you know, this is not a, you know, just understand that the connections you're looking for are ones that need to be acceptable to the people that you're talking to. Don't get carried away. I just want to point this out to you. But most breakthroughs are based on cross-fertilization. So anytime you have any kind of experience that you want to bring to another world, the connection is extremely powerful and has been proven over and over and over again to change the world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Indeed. I'm inspired to start my own company and think of new ideas. All right, who's next? Rina, do you want to go next? Unmute yourself, ask your question, and of course, practice your pitch. So what is your pitch? Introduction pitch and question.
Hello, so I'm not sure if I'm ready to do the pitch right now, but I have done a drawing. I don't know if it is, no, sorry. Okay, it's fine, I will describe it. I've done a graph where I have included several columns to be included in the 20 seconds pitch. So I've mentioned education, projects and interests, personal and professional skills, and vision, or some kind of motto or philosophical motto. And I was wondering, in this limited time of 20 seconds, how much seconds or time do we distribute to each of these categories? So education, projects and interests, skills, personal and professional ones, and vision.
Well, look, first of all, you only need one thing to get people's attention, right? So you want to find the one thing that matters, whatever that is. And on that one thing that matters, you can weave all the other issues around that. So if you studied, say, biology, and you found out that the circulation of the blood is the most important thing in the body, and here's what, and it applies to all these, whatever this is that you're going for, and here's why, that's the most important thing. And then you talk about where you studied, what do you want, that's it. So it's about a third, but I don't even want to put an actual number on it, because what matters is the one thing that you connect with. That's the critical thing. Not a lot of things, one thing. Just remember about this. If you got a 20-second pitch, there's no time for clearing your throat. All right, you got to cut to the chase right away. You got to grab them, because their minds will wander. And if you're not sure, you're not ready, don't say that. It's not really going to help you. Just be sure and be ready. And if you're not, then do the best you can. So it's the one thing that matters. And if you're not sure what the one thing that matters is, ask your grandma. Somebody who doesn't really understand what you're doing, but would love to talk about you, whatever they're saying, that's probably it. And if it isn't, correct them, and then they'll figure it out for you. But remember what I said. It's not what you say about yourself. It's what other people would say about you that is really generally what matters. So if you can figure out what people are, what they make of what you do, if your teacher or your instructor or your professor said, that student is the one who did blah, 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 well, you know, you're gonna have to work with that. That's what you got.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rina. I like how you're thinking. The way I would answer maybe Alan's question is, I'll just give you my pitch, which is, hi, my name is Prachi Vakharia. I live and work in Washington, DC. I work on advanced innovative transport solutions. I have experience working in public sector with the World Bank, in the private sector with startups, and then also with corporate venture capital. I noticed the work you're doing at X, and I would love to contribute in your mission Y.
Okay. Now, since I know Prachi, okay, I'm going to tell you that the part of the pitch that kicks in is when she said that I work for the World Bank. All right. So anything that has name brand value is always going to stand out. But I also know about Prachi, when she talks to my people, when she says, and I helped the company get acquired by Mercedes-Benz, that's the headline. Because once she says that, I'm all ears. How did you get Mercedes-Benz to buy? What did they buy? What did they not? Blah, blah, blah. So that you see, that becomes the orientation point of the pitch. So, and she still doesn't want to, she's very modest. She doesn't even want to tell you about that. But that's what we on the investor side want to hear. So you got to know that. So again, you know, you kind of have to know what people are looking for, and you may not know right away, but you'll learn pretty quickly. And you can always ask. You can always ask. Say, look, you know, tell me, what do you think of this? What and those it's not often that people really tell you. So you kind of got to figure out how to read this. But I just want to point something out to you, okay? Because we're talking about America, right? Right? You're coming to America. Now, you know, in America, people is full of self-promotion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't hide, you know, you are entitled to speak up about yourself. But what you need to understand about this culture, okay, is it's Judeo-Christian culture. But let's focus on Christian, not in a religious sense, but something you need to understand. Because the gospel, we live by the gospel. And you have to understand what the gospel is. The gospel was not written by the founders of the church or of the religion. They were not written by Jesus. They were not written by the apostles. They were written by people who followed them. In other words, the gospels were written by people, they were written by the customers. They were reverse engineered. All right. I know this is controversial, but it's true. The gospels were not written by people who ever met the apostles or Jesus himself. They were written by people who knew, they essentially reverse engineered what people wanted in a religion. And this is true across this culture, that people want a particular story. If you pick up the newspaper, whatever newspaper it is, if it's the New York Times or the New York Post or the Washington, whatever, their stories are reverse engineered to fit the basic point of view of that newspaper. We know this, but we forget it. When you're pitching, this is exactly what you're doing. You have to understand what John, you know, of the fourth gospel really wanted, and you got to write that story to fit what he wanted. All right, so you've got to understand that you're creating something that other people are going to want to talk about you. So if you can figure out what people say about you, how they put it, what they make of what you have, and reverse engineer what you have to fit that, your chances go up dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So two things to remember, right? First is, like, what does the other person want to hear? And second is absolutely contextualize it. When I'm with Alan and an investor crowd, my pitch is very different than when I'm with the transport or when I'm talking about Womanium. So always customize your pitch. And like you said, name recognition always helps. Associate yourself with brands and with large organizations as well. If you're part of one, definitely mention that. Juliana, do you want to go next?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. I would like to
your pitch, introduction and your pitch, yes. And then your question. Yes.
Okay.
20
Hi,
seconds.
I am Juliana Sidimoro from Italy. Currently, I'm program head of quantum computing at CRS4. I've been working for the not-for-profit research organization since 1998. For 17 years, I carried out R&D under NDA for industrial contracts. My expertise stands right at the intersection of numerical methods, partial differential equations, and parallel computing for large-scale applications. I want to leverage my background to create successful quantum computing and user applications. That's why in the last year, I have been upskilling quantum computing and in data science as well. And I'm open to opportunities that generate value in Sardinia, my homeland. And I'm ready to face new challenges. Thank you. Here is my pitch. Sorry, the video was not centered. But anyways, I would like to ask you for what are the flaws of my pitch, where I can improve, because I would really like to ask people, investors, to
invest in Sardinia to create something meaningful.
Okay, so what I tell people is that whenever you pitch, you want to use like ordinary language. You want to keep it as concrete. So in English, you want to stay away from, you want to go with what are known as Anglo-Saxon words instead of Latin words.
Okay.
Because they're simpler and they're more action oriented. So just in general, and this is true to everyone, I'm not talking to you specifically, I just want to make this general point that a lot of people feel when they're making a pitch or they're talking about the qualifications, they want to show a lot of jargon. And jargon works if you're speaking to somebody who's exactly doing what you're doing, then that's fine. But it doesn't work on the emotion. So, and trust me, emotion counts. All right. I don't care what business, I don't care how scientific, there's still emotion. Not as much emotion, but it's emotion. So you want to go for simple stuff wherever possible. But aside from that, you see, if your pitch goes, and I'm just, again, if your pitch is like, I've done 17 years of blah, 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 that is a supporting pitch. That is not your lead. Because it sounds like, hey, I've been doing my work for so many years, I'm entitled to the next level up. Maybe. It's much more compelling if you say, in the 17 years of research, we did this, this, and this, and now I'm looking to take it to, like, we figured out how to link all the computers together in Europe. Now I want to bring it to America. We figured out how to do all of this in the West. Now we want to go to Asia. That's very specific. So it really depends what the people you're pitching to are looking for. You know, if they are looking to expand, then the fact that you have European experience is really important. If, you know, so that's really your guiding principles. What are they looking to get out of you? Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper with a bunch of qualifications. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, but going back to Al Sharpton, like, who got hit over the head to make what you're doing worth reading about? All right. What was the sacrifice? What was the accomplishment? What was this thing? I mean, you can go to politics. You know, people who get elected, even if they're wrongly elected, they got elected because they gave people an idea, a promise, a sense that they can make something happen that the other guy wasn't saying or wasn't believable. It's the same principle.
We have a lot of students, so let's go through them really quickly. Yeah. Thank you, Henry Ma. Yeah, thank you, Juliana. Henry Ma, do you want to go next?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, Henry Ma, Abdali. We'll just, sorry, go to the next person. Henry, if you don't want to go, let's go with Ashley. Perfect. I see Ashley.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you, oh, sorry.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Henry, we'll go after Ashley.
Oh, Henry can go first.
No, you're already in the spotlight, so go for it, Ashley.
Babe, I'm about to be on the spotlight.
Sorry, sorry.
Hello. My name is Ashley Enriquez. I am an electrical undergraduate student at the University of Maryland, College Park. I'm graduating this semester. I have done undergraduate research at the Center for Integrated Quantum Materials, a science and technology center between Harvard, Howard, and MIT. Most of my research experience throughout the course of my undergraduate career has been working with quantum materials. And as an electrical engineer, I'm mostly concerned with the problem of making smaller and faster electronics. So these quantum materials shows prospect in addressing this issue. So my research has been concerned on understanding the properties of these quantum materials, and not just understanding their properties, but how to make them and how to begin implementing in technologies such as electronics, and in addition to this, quantum technology.
Yep, love it. Go ahead, Alan. Any feedback, thoughts?
Well, I like it. I mean, listen, you need to cut it down a little bit because you made your point. You made your point about halfway through.
Okay.
So just simplify it, but it's a nice pitch. And
Thank
also
you.
on the, so, you know, just take out all the inessential words.
Okay.
So let me something about 20-second pitches, elevator pitches, is that people can only really focus on one idea at a time. and they can only remember about 7 items, 5 to 7. So your job is simplicity here. Just cut it down. And another thing I should point out to a lot of folks, it's nice when you have simplified it. There's a certain kind of rhythm, which you actually kind of have, but you just had a lot of work, so it kind of got lost. But that's okay. But it's actually a good pitch, and also you project a really nice attitude.
Thank you. It's a work in progress.
Attitude means a lot. All right.
And I had to finesse it with everything else going on in the house too.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you so much.
I mean,
Thank you.
You're not going to get perfection. What you want to get is a connection, not perfection,
Right.
connection.
It's a work in progress. Yes, yes, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Just simplify, and you'll trust me, you will get.
Okay, thank
You'll
you.
get that done. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Henry, over to you. Unmute yourself, turn your video on. We'll add you to Spotlight. Perfect. Go ahead.
Hello everyone. I'm Henry from China, a rising second-year PhD student studying material science. I'm currently building hybrid quantum systems using photons and magnons. They interact with each other in these systems. And these systems have already shown their application in quantum memory, sensing, and computing. I also used ANSYS HFSS and PathWave ADS to design microwave circuits and used vector network analyzer to measure their properties. I think I still have 4 years to learn more to get my PhD and enter the quantum industry as an application scientist. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, in my opinion, I mean, you got lost a little bit in the details. I mean, if you are talking to somebody who's specifically in your field, no problem. But if somebody is not in your field, or if it's a hiring manager, you need to go at a higher level. You need to move up what I call the conceptual ladder, and give what's known as a. So
did we lose that?
Got it. So what I'm trying to say is, think of it this way. You have a roadmap, right? When you're applying for a job or making a pitch, you're going to tell people, here's how I'm going to get from New York to Boston, right? I'm going to take the I-95. Okay, that's great. Pretty sure you get to Boston. But what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to go over this bridge. I'm going to make a right turn over here. Along the way, I studied this and I did that. I get lost in the details. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have these details. They're important. But it's got to make a very simple narrative, a simple story that anybody could understand.
Yeah.
And then you can add the details according to whomever you're talking to. If they're an actual scientist, then you can get into the details. But you've got to have a simple narrative that I can follow. What did you extract from all of this? It's not just what you studied, it's what you got out of it that matters, okay? So when people are hiring, what they're really asking is, what can you do for me? So if you're saying, I studied all this stuff, that's not telling me what you can do for me, it just tells me you studied a bunch of stuff. Okay?
Okay, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. By the way, you are very credible, don't get me wrong. It's very credible. But if you're competing with other people, the person that shows how they applied what they learned is always going to have the edge.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So talk of that outcome, that goal you managed to achieve as well, or something new and revolutionary, or like you're the first person doing X. So put some context around it as well. It's not a research paper, right? You're like making it relevant. Like, why is that important? I think is something you should also add. This is important because.
Okay, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Can I add something to Henry's?
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Henry, you're doing actually very interesting and very exciting work, and that is exactly where you start from. I'm looking at the intersection of photonics and magnetism, and it is exciting and fascinating. And
yeah.
Once you say that, people are curious to know what is exciting and fascinating, and get into the details. It's always about the detail. Even when you publish a scientific paper, the paper might be about 15 pages long, but there is an abstract at the top. But even above the abstract, there is a title. You always have to start with the title. If people lose you at the title, they will not even read the abstract.
There you go.
Okay.
He knows what he's talking about.
Awesome. Alan, how are we doing on time? Can we take some more questions?
Yeah, I can take a few more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Taha, I know if you're ready, we can get started with you. Otherwise, let's go on to Siddharth. Siddharth, I know your hand is up as well.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Shall I start?
Yes, please go ahead. Your pitch.
Yeah, so I'm Siddharth. I have done my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. The reason why I think I'm fit for this job is that I have worked with simulation softwares for quite a long time. I have been doing computer simulations for structural analysis of materials, and I know where the pinpoint lies of those who are actual users of these simulation softwares. And I think my experience could benefit there. Yeah, that was, I think, 20 seconds.
It's not bad, but it's a little tentative. All right. So in other words, you say, well, I think this is America. You ever see a commercial where I think my headache pill is better than the other guys. I think my ice cream is tastier. I think it might be. I don't want you to be boastful, but you need to be more confident. All right. You say, I've studied this. This is what I've discovered. Blah 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 blah. And again, fewer words, closer to the message.
And don't tell them what to think. Don't tell them like, oh, I'll be very valuable. Everybody thinks they're going to be valuable. Get to the point of why you're valuable. I've done X, X, and X. This aligns with your goals of Y. This is why we should talk. So you don't need to tell us what to think, right? Yeah, go on.
Got it.
One of the
feedback.
Yeah, one of the feedback for you, Siddharth, from my side is, does that line work with women? For example, when you meet an attractive person and you go and tell them that, oh, I do computer simulations, do they suddenly get excited? Women are people too, and all people are attracted to certain ideas, the way it is presented. So the way you introduce yourself actually gets their attention. Whether it is with women, whether it is with men, whether it is with prospective employers, or whether it is with anybody in the world. So it is great that you're doing simulation and all that, but
also simulating what, why, like what did you discover? Just add some more beauty to it. So even when I describe my work, I don't say that I'm looking at safety systems of how an automated vehicle can work in a mining environment. I just say I work on automated vehicles and we're going completely driverless by 2030. So yeah, make it dynamic. So that let's get back to you. I did want to take some more pitches, but if you want to practice again, think about it, come back and we'll practice more.
Sure.
Yeah, Antonius, I see you're next with your hand if you want to go ahead.
Hello.
And then we'll take Clara. Go ahead, Antonius.
Hello. My name is Antonius. I'm in the USA and I am an undergrad in computer engineering with a minor in statistics. I want to contribute to quantum computing from an engineering perspective. And I have a strong programming skills and can do hardware design as well.
Great. Can you think of that pitch again, but start with like 3 things you accomplished or 3 things that you're learning and have done? Actually, I'll actually have Alan go with his feedback. He's our presenter here. Go ahead, Alan. Oh, you're muted. Let me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm losing my connection. I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to sign off.
Yes. Thank you, Alan, for joining us today. It was great. You could join us, give us your feedback as well. And of course, some really funny anecdotes and story. Students love you. And, Discord is blowing up right now, which is where students chat. So thank you again. This was a lot of.
Thank you. And good luck to all of you. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Have a great week.
Yeah. All right, folks. All right. So who wants to go next? Antonius, if you're revising your pitch, we can take someone else. But really think through, right? Like 3 things you've achieved or you've done, or just like one thing. But there needs to be, as Alan also mentioned, storytelling. And that's the example he was giving with newspapers. New York Times knows what you want to hear, and then they present the event that happened in Middle East accordingly. So that's how we have to present as well, of like, think of who you're pitching to, and then give them a story that will connect with them.
Okay. Let me think about that answer. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So I see Kenza and then Firdaus.
Okay.
We can hear you and see you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Kensa Steven. I'm a Cameroonian from Nigeria, and I have studied geophysics as a master, and actually I'm doing a PhD, focusing on. Are you getting me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Focusing on understanding analyzing the position of hydrocarbon within reservoir. And throughout the past year, I've learned some skills relative to numerical programming and numerical method applied to earth sciences. And also, I am also passionate about machine learning. And I found very interesting the topic of quantum computing, because we can have many applications, especially in geophysics, where an earth problem related, like sensing the way the things are, especially with depth, it's difficult to have precision on information.
Right.
And also,
this is a 30-second pitch, so you've already lost us. Be really quick, very concise. What is your introduction? What is your pitch?
Sorry?
It has to be 20 seconds, a pitch. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Think about your pitch, 20 seconds, and what you want, how you want to introduce yourself. Firdaus, I see you're on. Do you want to go next? Kensa, let's come back to you, but think of your pitch. Be very clear what your pitch should be.
Yeah. Hi, I am a 2003 BTech graduate. Yeah, sorry, there was an echo. Okay, can I continue? Okay, sorry. So, yeah, I'm a 2003 BTech graduate with a micro master's degree in statistics and data science from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I founded an edtech named Bedrock for AI in 2020. And as part of it, I have designed courses. I teach programming, AI foundation, physics, mathematics, computer science to high school students. Prior to that, I worked in the cybersecurity domain for Oracle. I have 10 plus years of experience in the identity and access management domain specifically. I have done product development, solution architecture, site reliability engineering for Oracle IAM products. My keen interest in the subjects physics, mathematics, computer science makes me fascinated with quantum computing. And I would love to have an opportunity to work on projects that give me an opportunity to work on quantum programming, to evangelize, and to teach quantum computing in the future.
I love it. Only feedback from my side before we go to Raj is think of also that connection, because the first thing you mentioned, you have a degree from MIT, and the next thing you said is you've been teaching as well, or you were involved in some teaching programs. So just to make that connection, explain of why I love teaching and which is why I did X and X and X, or I wanted to give back to or contribute, or whatever your reason was. So add that a little bit as well, because that adds to your personality and it links the different things that you've done as well. So it's not just things you've done, but there's a motivation and there's a mission towards which you've been going. And that adds to your personality, like you're mission driven. The 3 things you care about, and that's what you've pursued in life.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, can I talk, please?
Sorry, we are just wrapping up. Raj, any feedback from you? Yeah. Oh, you're muted.
No, feedback for Firdaus?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Firdaus, my feedback is that you are basically reading your CV. You are not describing yourself. So you basically said everything that you did, which is good. But in that first 20 seconds, that you do not immediately take your CV out and start reading. You first introduce yourself. And for example, if I were to ask Prashi, what did Firdaus do at Oracle and in which year? Do you remember? She just said it. See, that was lost. So technically, even though it was important for you in your career journey and trajectory, it is not going to be echoing or remembered in that first 20 seconds. In that first 20 seconds, people want to know who you are and why they should listen to you more, so that you can tell you more about your other work, whether it is Oracle, whether it is education, etc.
If I were to do Firdaus, right, I would do like, my name is Firdaus. I live here. I love physics, chemistry, which is why I'm working on computer science, in quantum computing right now. In the past, I did graduate from MIT. I studied and applied X there. And of course, my curiosity for education led me to this and this. And in the corporate world, I worked with Oracle for a number of years. Again, this was application and built on what I studied at MIT. This was poorly done. Let me think, but I will do another Firdaus in a few seconds. But start off with like who you are, what drives you, and then do the name dropping. I studied at MIT, worked at Oracle for a number of years, and also did education in my spare time, but I taught X.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the valuable feedback.
All right, who's next? Let's go quickly. I realize we only have a few minutes.
Hello, please. Hello.
Yes,
can I talk, please?
Sorry, Amirali, we'll have to kick you out. Like, just wait your turn. We have a lot of people who raise their hands before you. So just wait your turn. Yeah, next I see Clara, if you want to go next. So
Why not me, please?
Clara Temitope, and then we go with Akash and
you hear me?
We can hear you. Sorry, please mute yourself. We have another row of students waiting. Okay, go ahead, Clara.
Hello, I'm Clara. I'm a second-year student at Tufts University, majoring in mathematics and computer science. And I'm super interested in machine learning. I've done a couple of projects. I did a project on program synthesis at Brown University in the spring. I'm working in a robotics lab over the summer. And I'm also taking a course at MIT in machine learning just to solidify my foundations. And I'll be working on a project in industry in the fall. And I've just really fallen for quantum computing. And since I know that I want to apply my machine learning skills, it's high time for the industry. And with quantum computing, it falls together. So I'm looking for an internship next summer.
I love it. This still does read like a CV, like what stuff you've done. So can you distill it down? 3 things about you. My name is X. I study here. I love robotics, which is why I entered and won or came third in this robotics prize where we did X. Sometimes these small stories can bring out a lot about your personality. I'm really curious about making a robot that could do X. So this is why I've joined robotics classes. and enter this robotics competition. And now the next frontier I'm looking to change is quantum. So to make it into like 3 simple stories about you. Go on, Rash.
Sounds good. I'll have to write it down, and
If
then
I
it
were
will
to
be better.
introduce you, right? Like I would say, my name is Clara. I study at MIT, or did you say MIT, or where do you study?
I'm a Tufts student, but I'm taking a course at MIT over the summer.
Perfect. So I study at Tufts as well as at MIT over the summer. I love robotics, which is why I entered a robotics competition. And the next thing that I'm curious about is quantum computing, where I've taken the initiative to join the Womanium quantum program. And the next thing I'd love to do is apply the skills to an industry. Yeah.
So, Clara, you started really well. Your start was good. And then you should have just stopped there, because the rest of it that you are supposed to share much later. So I would say the first 6 seconds to 10 seconds were excellent. You already had me and had my attention. And then you just went too much extra, and then I forgot whatever you had said after that. So the start was very good. The end was very good. Cut out the middle bit. The middle bit,
okay,
you will get, once you have the interest of the people, you will get additional time to share that. The point is to share that initial first exciting part, and the final part that you said, what you want to do next. First is who you are, why we should listen to you, and the next is why specifically listen to you in this particular context.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think for all students, cut your pitches short to few things you really want people to remember. As Alan said, people remember 5 to 7 things. I will say people remember 3 things. So name drop 3 things that you think people will remember. Perfect. I see Temi Tope. I hope I didn't butcher.
Yeah, no.
Join us. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Temi Tope Adeniyi. I'm a physics, PhD physics student in machine learning for material physics. I'm very much interested in quantum machine learning, but I'm very much interested in placing Africa in the quantum computing space. Presently, there's little or no quantum computing programs, educational startups in Africa, and I'm interested in being a pioneer in that field. I presently run a startup that trains kids on STEM education, and I want to implement that in my startup and also bring more people into the quantum computing space in Africa. Thank you.
Awesome. Can you end with an ask? I love your introduction. Can you end with an ask? So why are you telling me all this? What am I supposed to do?
Okay, so I'm looking forward to partnerships and also core programs in terms of gaining more experience in quantum computing, quantum machine learning, and other quantum computing fields.
So this is for a partnership pitch, right? This is not your career pitch. Just be very, very sure of that, right? Like you would tell this to a quantum consortium, for example, or a large quantum organization, not necessarily for a job. Right? Yeah. But for a partnership, I think this was a good pitch. Go ahead, Raj. You're muted.
No specific feedback. Next.
Yeah. Overall, pretty good, very clear. Your ask was good at the end, what you want for people to do for you afterwards. So great question. Who did I say was next? Let's go with Akash. Akash Zingra, if you want to turn your mic and video on, and then as well.
Hey everyone, I'm Akash. I'm a final year undergraduate student at IIT Delhi in India. I'm doing my bachelor's in engineering physics, a minor degree in computer science engineering, and a specialization in quantum technologies. I'm an out-of-the-box thinker, quantum computing researcher, and a quantum software developer. I'm a research intern at National University of Singapore at Center for Quantum Technologies, where I'm working on post-quantum cryptography, which is the need of the hour. And I want to contribute in the cybersecurity domain in the post-quantum era. Thank you all.
I thought that was good. Raj, any feedback from your side?
That was good.
Yeah, very good, very clear. I like the confidence as well. So your video is on. For the career fair, do make sure your video is on because it's going to be live. You have to, dress well, make sure your video is on, your lighting should be on. But beyond that, yeah, good confidence, very clear. It ended on time. So good job. All right, so who wants to go next? Yeah, Shiaka, if you want to go next.
Yes, hi. So my name is Shika Aldehan. I'm a PhD in theoretical particle and nuclear physics. I'm interested in working in quantum algorithm development, and broadly speaking, my background has been in few body physics and perturbation methods, and their applications in nuclear and particle physics, which I see as an area that hasn't been started in quantum computing. I don't know if my sound is good. Yeah, okay, good. And this is an area that it's still starting with its applications with the quantum computing applications in nuclear and particle physics. So I would love to contribute to that area and look forward to work with your company.
Perfect. So few things missing. You didn't tell me which university you went to. So your degree is impressive, but the university was missing. So do feel free to share that as well. Second thing I'll say is, again, you mentioned stuff you've done. People are not looking for stuff you've done, right? They're looking for things you've achieved, what your interests are, how you pursued them, and what you achieved at the end of it. So starting from the mission to the process to the achievement, think of that. So can you just right now think of how you would rephrase everything you said, but with a mission, process, and then achievement at the end?
So with a mission, do you mean like where I want to end up? Or?
No, I was understanding physics, and especially at the quantum levels, always driven me, which is why I've taken these courses. And at the end, in fact, I even participated in a hackathon and won these things. So I can clearly learn and would love to learn more about you and how I can contribute to your organization. So something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good feedback. Yeah, thanks. I think I need some time to refine my pitch, but that's a good thing. Thank you.
It's basically the storytelling, and that's what storytelling is. You grab someone's interest, you then tell them what happened, and then you kind of make them want to act on it or do something about it. And back to you, right? Again, you've mentioned stuff you've done, but talk of achievements and talk of what drove you towards those achievements. Even if they're small achievements, like what we think is small is actually great for the employer, because they want to see that you can do things, you can get things done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even I worked in the lab, and this is what we discovered at the end of it. Or my contribution was we moved the needle to doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you talk about your contributions, sometimes I shy away from being too specific. I feel like in a 20-second pitch, I need to be very general.
Yeah.
I guess
you can be specific, but yeah, if you can be specific and cut it short, that would be ideal.
Thank you.
So Shika, the work that you're doing is great, and more people should definitely know about it. But to come back to what Alan Brody had said, when you're driving from New York to Boston, you don't tell them about that, I got into the car, I held the steering wheel, I turned it left, I looked left. Don't go through all those procedural steps. Instead, you are like a book. And what you're supposed to showcase in those first 5 to 10 seconds is the cover of the book. The cover doesn't say too much about all the contents inside, but people judge a book by its cover. Similarly, people will decide whether to buy the book of Shika based on the first impression that you create. So show the cover page, and if they like the cover page, they will read the rest of the book. And your book is great, so have a great cover page.
Thank you.
Yeah, so be really high level, name drop, talk of achievements, and then people will ask more questions. Henry, Mai, if you're still on, I think this really applies to you as well, because you have a very interesting personality and things you've done. But again, you just walked us through the process of everything you did, but never told us what you achieved at the end or why you started that journey in the first place. All right, so we have so many more questions. Mark, if you want to go, and then Victor. Oh, and also if Taha, if you're here, we can get you started as well.
Can you get me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Next. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I am Mark Carrington from Cameroon, and I am a product and graphic designer. I am also a web developer, and I'm also interested in robotics. Even though I just started my quantum journey, but I want to go for internships to see how I can match all of this with my skills and learn more.
Yeah.
So can I start? So one of the things that everybody has been saying is what you're interested in. And sometimes just the context tells the other people that you're interested in that place or that context, and that is why you're there. For example, if you're at a career fair for quantum companies, people know that you're interested. That is why you're there. So you do not need to iterate the obvious. So everybody knows that you're interested in quantum. Now the question is, why should the companies be interested in you? So Prashu, any additions? Or can you go to the next feedback for Mark?
Yeah, let's go to the next person. Perfect. Who's after Mark? Taha, are you?
It's Abdali Farji. Please take me.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Why you ignore me from the first beginning? I don't know.
We will have to kick you out if you continue to be rude on the program. And for everyone on, please wait your turn. We want to help all of you. There's no need to be rude here. So Abdilali, if you have a pitch, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll have to remove you from the program.
Yeah, I have a pitch, yes.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Abdali Farji from Tunisia. I'm a doctor in physics and microelectronics from University of Monastir. I have worked as a teaching assistant in the university. I did my research in electrical characterization of nanoscale semiconductor devices with applications in applications as photodetectors, transistors, and memories. And especially, the last one is quantum dots related quantum related memories applications. And now I'm looking for. I got the interest in quantum computing technology from the last year. So I'm involved in many courses. Yes, advanced nanoscale devices as well as complex simulation circuits. I'm proficient in experimental setup and measurements, and have good skills in programming and simulation of the devices.
Okay, we'll stop you right here. Stop you right here. So this is not, again, reading your CV, right? Yeah, you really have to talk of, this is me, this is what I'm really good at, and mention one thing you're really good at, and stop there.
So my first feedback is articulate more clearly. Either your microphone wasn't good, or to put simply, you did not open your mouth while talking. So it was very difficult to understand what you were trying to say. So it doesn't matter what you said. We were not able to listen and clearly understand. And that is why one of the instructions is sit in a quiet place, have a good microphone, and be very clear in your communication. So clarity is the first feedback.
My voice is not clear?
No, that's what Raj just said. Your voice does not come off clearly. And also when you speak very fast. So for most people, you want to slow down, you want to articulate, and you really want to emphasize key things that you've done.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your remarks.
Great. Taha, are you ready to share your resume? No, it's fine as well. We could do your pitch and your CV at the same time. I think others will benefit from that as well.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, hello, everyone. So my pitch, the idea was just to have some comment on my long CV. So Alexia said that it's not that good to have very long CV. But I can also give a pitch if you would be. So my pitch would be rather than for looking for collaboration, rather than looking for a job. So here it is. My name is Mohamed Tahar Wabeh. I'm an associate professor at the University of Wisconsin, Algeria, and I have received a grant to establish cold atom experiment with the perspective of performing quantum simulation with natural atoms. So the grant is starting right now, and I'm building a team with motivated and talented students, but we don't have real experience with experimental physics. So I'm looking for any research group or company to establish a long-term collaboration. We will need to train our young researcher on experimental quantum optics and could work on research topics of mutual interest. So if you think that your company can help or your research can help, I will please to hear from you.
I love it. One quick feedback is numbers. Numbers can be really important, especially if you receive a grant. If you can add the grant amount, especially if it's a big amount, I think that's always impressive, and it definitely will perk up people's ears as well. Or say we are looking for X number of people and to work in the program as well. So just add some more numbers if you can.
Okay, thank you. So you can share the Zoom if there is Alexia, or if you would like to.
Yeah, Raj, can you make him co-host if you can share the screen and do it? Because I have his resume on a different computer. And for all of you with resumes, I've posted some samples already on Discord. Please always try to keep those on mind as you think through how to build your resume. Raj, does he co-host yet? Perfect. So you should be able to do a screen share now, and we could go through your resume.
I'm supposed to do the screen share?
Yeah, just share your screen with the resume up, and then we could see it.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. One thing I will say, and Araceli said yes for photographs. In the US, if you're applying for US positions, it's an absolute no. Do not share your photographs. The US is very sensitive about any discrimination while hiring. And part of how one looks, the age, even actually gender, all these add to discrimination. So be very careful in US resumes, never to share anything personal, like you are married or not married, because that's a point for discrimination, especially for women. Do not share your photographs at all. Just add your name, email address, and maybe your city. You don't even have to put a full postal address, because no one is going to write to your letter anymore. That age is gone. We have emails. We don't need to see your entire address at all. This is actually a privacy issue. So US, again, I certainly recommend just put your city, your name, your email. You don't need to put any of this information. This is so much personal information you're giving to an employer, which you should not at all. Again, remove the curricular vitae on the top left, because we know it's all a curricular vitae. So we know this is. Research interest, that looks great. If you scroll down a bit more, work experience.
No, wait. Go up, go to the top.
Yeah.
So remove photo, have the name, remove address, phone number to contact, yes, email, yes. Nationality, perhaps if you're applying outside of your country, sometimes they need to know where you're applying from. But usually, at least in the United States, people do not put nationality, because it is illegal to discriminate a person on the basis of national origin. So no nationality, no date of birth, and no gender on any resume, because these are all criteria for potential discrimination. And therefore, it is illegal for a company to look at these aspects, and therefore you should remove it. You should go straight to the research interest and work experience.
Okay.
Perfect. So with the work experience, again, very neat, but we don't know what you achieved at the end of it. And it's not, I like that you said the responsibilities, which is really great. But I would still encourage you to go with a standard resume. I will share, because you're a professor, I will share resume examples from professors here, but you really still want to talk about achievements. Led 3 classes on, subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, and have that. So it always has to be, achievement based and bullet points. You're saying teaching responsibilities, but I would still love it if you just put it as your achievements for each of the jobs that you've had. Okay.
So
I think all this is great. You can keep scrolling.
Okay.
All right, this looks really great. What I would recommend also is if, because now we're again in digital age, you can also link out to your papers or any awards you've gotten.
Okay.
So add the link as well if it's publicly available.
Okay.
Yes, all looks great. Yeah.
Wow.
Goes forever. Let me see if Malu is on here. She can give some feedback as well.
So Taha, since this is your curriculum vitae, it is very good. So remove the part that was on the top. Since you have got a 7-page CV, I definitely urge and recommend you to make a 1 or 2 page resume, which is a shorter version of it that just highlights what is more important about you. Because in the first instance, not everybody is going to read through.
Sorry, Raj, before we see that, let's just do a resume and CV. So CVs are much longer. I think everything you've added here is great. Now, if you want to have a resume format, and resume is typically needed for industry, and CVs are needed for academia, where you put all your publications, everything you've done. So always keep that difference in mind. Again, for a CV, I think this is great and it looks fantastic.
Yes, for a CV, this is perfect. The only thing is, reformat it because there is a lot of white space. So instead of 6 pages, I'm sure that you can put it in 5 pages.
Yeah, it's a lot of white space. Yeah, exactly.
Then since you have got a multi-page CV, not everybody is going to reach page number 3 or page number 5. So please consider creating a shorter version called a resume, which only highlights what is specific and important to that particular context.
Okay. Okay. What about this service part?
Not in resume. Not in resume. So
oh, this is great, like your volunteer positions?
Yes, not in resume.
Sorry. Yeah, not in resume, but in CV here, it's fine. Yeah.
So always know the difference between a resume and CV, because many people conflate and confuse between the two. This is a good CV. So great, apart from a little bit of formatting, otherwise everything is listed, clear, proper, everything is good. But since the CVs, as you have gained a lot more experience, your CV is very long. So not everybody is going to read through all these pages. Now think of it from the other party side. Let's say that you apply for a position, apply for a job, grant, etc., and they get 150 applications, and each of those applications are 7 pages long. By the time they reach the letter T with Taha, they will already be dead. So it is good to have a shorter version that they can just flip through and come to you fast and get to know you.
So if it's for academic publication, should be there even in the short version?
Well, for academic purposes, if you're applying to be a professor, then you should definitely list all these things. But a lot of companies which are coming for the career fair, they are not academic entities, and they are not looking at least this is for the rest of the audience too, they are not looking at a 7-page CV. They are going to look at a 1 to 2 page resume. And this session is a little bit more catered towards that audience for the career fair, which is coming up soon on August 1st. And for that, do not have a 7-page CV. You should have it always. You should always have your CV. It doesn't matter. But that is not the first thing that you send to people. You always send a shorter version called a resume to people. And then, if needed, they will ask for a CV. A good example of that, if you had attended the program, there was a lab tour given by MIT by one of the researchers and students named Shantanu. If you look him up, he has got his CV, which extends to many pages, and he has got a short resume, which is just 1 page. And he is a good example because he's in academia. He's doing fantastic work in quantum domain. He's publishing papers. That is all listed in his CV. But he also has got a short resume. If somebody asks to get to know him, 1 page is enough.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Let's go to the next person. Amirali, Victor.
Before that, since Mohammed Taha asked about some collaboration and partnerships, I do not know whether the career session is the ideal place to ask for that, but we should discuss that with the rest of the Womanium team separately, because in this particular instance, we might be able to help you in a different form, because the career session is for the students and the participants to potentially get jobs in the existing quantum industry. What you're trying to do is create a new industry in a new country, which is not the goal of the career fair. So always know what the goals are and ask at the right place, the right things, because if you ask the right things at the wrong place, you're anyways not going to get it.
Exactly. Thank you. And I would be pleased if you want to schedule any session for discussion about the collaboration.
I would love that. So let's continue on Discord, but we should have a separate chat. We are also working with India and helping with the and speaking to them about helping with their quantum consortium. And we want to do this in multiple, any country that's interested, see how we can support.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it in US. We have been approached by the government consortium of India and working with some of the Swedish Nordic industry consortium. So we will see what can be done in Algeria too. But the career fair is not the right place for that specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Perfect. Are you guys ready? Let's be really quick. I realize it's getting late.
Yes.
Are you ready? And then Mustafa, if you are ready as well, we can just turn your videos on, all of you, and let's go one by one.
Yes, I'm ready.
Awesome. Go for it. Who said that?
Mustafa.
Right
here.
Okay, share your.
Yeah, I want. Yes, I want to share. Yeah. Can you give me access as a co-host to share the screen?
Yes, Raja could do that.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Mustafa, your 30 seconds starts now.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes.
My screen. Oh, you can.
We see you. Go ahead. Share your screen and let's talk. Yeah, let's go faster.
I don't know. Share screen. I don't know how to
Okay, share screen is at the bottom. The green button.
I share the screen, but I don't know.
We don't see it. Okay, let's come back
Let
to
me.
you.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Shouldn't you what happened?
Rashid, go to the next person.
Yeah. In the meantime, Victor, can you unmute yourself and share your pitch? And Amirali, you too.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Victor. I'm from Mexico, and I'm a physicist. I was actually leading my career into be a data analyzer, but then my teachers tell me that I was good in quantum mechanics, so I do a master's degree and now a PhD in quantum theory, where my research was leading to find new ways of get qubits entangled. And that's important because, as we know, the entanglement is the resource that fuels all the quantum technologies. And well, even though this is important in a fundamental point of view, I want to use it to solve real-life problems.
I love it. You mentioned why things are important. You talked about what you achieved and what you want to do next. So, yeah, go ahead, Raj. You're muted.
Two things. One is that you should face the other side because the light is not on your face. So you're just looking like a dark silhouette figure. And the other is get closer to the microphone so that your voice is clearer. So just some technical things. Just switch on a light just when you're speaking and get close to the mic. And I think that's it.
Perfect. But otherwise, good pitch, right?
Yeah, otherwise good. And
I guess maybe one thing is like if you could do any name dropping with the company you work with, any internships or at least your university name, that would really help.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Amirali, you're next. And Mustafa, let us know when you've figured out screen share.
Great. So is it possible to have, okay, good. So greetings, I'm American Nishad, and it's easier to just call me Ace if you like. So I'm kind of a junior here. I'm an undergraduate, so I'm pursuing bachelor's in artificial intelligence with specialization in quantum computing, quantum machine learning, and essentially with a focus in predictive analytics. So, and what I do is essentially I work as a quantum optimization engineer in a startup, ZebraKit, which we essentially work in parallel to DBIT, and we solve essentially supply chain management problems. So, if you've seen the works that D-Wave does or other companies which essentially try to connect to some aspect of optimizing or efficientizing the industry, you would always see that they sort of try to fill a hole that isn't already filled by a company, or they try to innovate on it. So what I do essentially in a research and part of the company that I work with is to design dynamic and realistic environments for these sort of models of the world. So essentially, when I always try to explain the idea to anyone is that imagine if you could predict the real world, the world that we live in. So oftentimes we say that it's unpredictable, but it's simply that we're trying to, same as people in 1920s did, fit a quantum mechanical world into a classical representation. So what I do in my paper is that I interpret the real world as an open system evolving through time. You have individuals which act as perceptions. So it allows you to actually put yourself in the shoes of your AI and see the world from their part. And also it allows you to have this sort of bird's eye view of the entire world. So by what you do, you can see what happens. So how does this become significant? So often
Stop. We're having a whole coffee date with me. I just wanted a pitch. So 20-second pitch. Everything you're saying is very interesting. I could hear you for next hour, but 20-second pitch, just let the person get interested and then you can go on. So you want to try again, just 20 seconds, high level, what you've done, what you've achieved, and everything you said was good. Just make it 20 seconds.
Understood. So essentially what I do in research, which is part of the company I work for, is to design simulators for real world scenarios. And how this becomes significant is to allow for your company to actually model the real world rather than some abstraction of it, which essentially wouldn't really give you the full predictive power of quantum mechanics. We essentially go to the fundamentals and then build our way up and try to answer the question, can we predict the real world?
Perfect. So I would say that my name is Araceli. I live in Toronto. I work with the company. We build simulation. And the way we could help you is we could help you simulate X. Everything else you said was too many filler words. You say essentially a lot. No one wants to hear essentially, right? Because just say what you want to say. No need to say essentially. How we can help you. You don't need to say that. I think you can just imply that we work here, and then the way we can support you is helping you simulate X. So remove your filler words or unnecessary statements in between.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Great. And Victor, take a look at Amirali's video. He has got light. So
Amirali is always perfect. His video, his setting, everything looks great. His hair, of course. So.
And I'm wondering, because Victor said that he's in Mexico, and in Mexico right now it should be noontime. And he's sitting in a dark place. So Victor, just step outside.
Exactly. Yeah, get some natural light. But Amirali, even your resume looks great. So this is, we are excited to see you tomorrow and see you on Monday at the career fair. Yeah. Okay. Speak soon. Okay, who's next? MMMV, if you want to go next, and Aisha, if you want to unmute. Mustafa, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, but I don't know why you see me instead of my screen. I click on a screen share and I click on a screen, but I don't know what happens.
Click the green button, and then it'll say desktop, and you hit desktop or wherever your resume is, and you hit share.
I see a screen options. Then I want to share. I share the screen.
Okay. Wait.
Can you see?
Hold on. Yeah.
Can you see my resume, my CV?
Yeah, now we can see it. Perfect.
Good, great.
Okay.
Let me zoom in a little.
Okay, so this is resume feedback, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see clear?
We can see clearly. No, the information you have at the top looks great. So
Yes.
this is good. Your email, LinkedIn.
Yeah, it is about me in 3 sentences. Yeah, it's experience. My experience. I'm chairperson of QURECA and graduate level course I passed.
So
The
one thing I'll
project
do with
research.
just pause. The chairperson. So I also sit on various committees for my industry. I would put that as a separate thing. Like I've put it under industry leadership, because chairperson, right? But it's showing industry leadership, but it's not necessarily a paid full-time position. And it's going to confuse people, like what is work experience versus what is like a voluntary position.
Great.
So maybe put another category of industry skills or industry leadership and put the chairperson there.
Okay.
Same with graduate level course. Again, this goes supplementary to your education. It should not be in work experience.
Okay.
Same, I guess I think the project looks good, but the researcher, was that a paid position? Yeah, so you really want to start there, researcher at IQCDI, because that's what you're doing now. So that should be at the top here.
On top, yeah, the top.
On top, exactly. That's the first thing. Everything else should have its own category.
They sorted by the date because it's 2020.
No, but it doesn't fall under work experience. This is, you've put work experience here. You've said experience, but it ideally should be saying work experience and put it as work, because you're going to confuse people otherwise what you're really doing. So everything that's work experience goes under work experience, and start with that researcher IQCDI, because that's the most recent one. The other thing is always start every bullet point with a verb, something you've done, something you've achieved, led, executed, achieved, designed, thought, whatever that verb is, but that's what you need to start with. And did you look through the sample I put on Discord?
No.
So
I will go through it.
Yeah, start
okay,
there.
thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
It's another option. And it's my education background in master and bachelor, yeah.
So and
university.
And so you can put Womanium here, you can put the other certificate you have, you can put that here as well. So that's what you should put under education and certifications, put those as well.
Skills, soft skills, hard skills, computer skills.
People put soft skills, like I don't see the point of here. Like when you talk to me, I'll know if you have soft skills. It's pointless taking up white space to put soft skills. But if you have that volunteer experience, or actually that industry leadership, which is where you are chairperson of something, that should definitely go here. And it should, so remove soft skills and instead put that here.
Okay.
Yeah,
I divided hard skills in computer skills, programming skills, and technical skills. Yeah.
Perfect. If you can you make those colors a bit better? Computer skills, programming skills, technical skills, because otherwise it's all clumping together, and the technical skills are really important for a quantum job. So yeah, make sure they are well highlighted. And if there's any other information you can add there.
Maybe I can bold it, yeah?
Bold it or put it in a green color.
Different color.
Yeah, different color. Yeah.
Okay. And activities like publications, I divided to journal publication and conference publications. Yeah.
Great.
And seminar presentation.
Perfect.
And certificates. All certificates I got.
I want you to have a look at the sample I posted, and I want you to start linking. Again, this is PDF. Start linking out to everything, to as much as you can. So put the link to each of these things if it's publicly available, like your seminar, if there's a recording, or even the webpage of, so and so speaking, Mustafa speaking at X. Try to have those links out, because that will again add credibility. Yeah.
Yes, people can go through the link and see what happens there.
Exactly, or to the paper. Exactly.
Thank you. Finish.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, Aisha.
Thank you.
Wait, can you go to the first page, the top page? Is he there, Prashi, or has he gone?
Oh, Mustafa, I think he's gone.
Yes.
Oh, he's
I messed up. Okay.
No, it's fine. Just remove some of those things which are not work experiences from the first page.
Yeah, very important. That's a key point. Always remove those and put your chairperson under industry leadership.
And things like soft skills are usually put by students who do not have actual industry experience because they want to highlight their personality, that, oh, I have got some leadership skills, I've got a great personality and all that. But as soon as you start getting work experience, after you have left university, after about 2 years, you should not put those soft skills and all those things, because your work with the team and the accomplishments actually highlights the fact that you have some of those skills or that you don't. And so when you have worked with a group of people, it means that you already have team skills. When you have led a project, it shows that you have got leadership skills. You do not need to sometimes explicitly say that.
Exactly. All right, I think we'll just take like one or two last folks. Yeah, who wants to go next? Please unmute yourself, turn your video on.
Wait. Let the rest of the people give about 20 seconds all together, and then we will aggregate and give them as one single.
Perfect. So everyone just go ahead with your question or pitch, and then we'll give feedback.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm a second year physics student in Middle East Technical University. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's nighttime here.
Good to see you.
My name is Araceli Venegas-Gomez. I'm a second year physics student in Middle East Technical University. I'm a really interest-driven person and would like to have hand-on experience, like in laboratories, in research groups. So I'm trying to increase my skills. I have hands-on experience in laboratory, chemistry, physics, and electronics. And this year I will also be working in optical and modern physics labs. Also, I'm interested in deep learning, and I taken a course from NVIDIA. And I was really relieved and excited to see that quantum computers gives us the opportunity to make faster calculations, because waiting for iterations is really long.
Right. Okay, 20 seconds up. Let's go to Johanna. Go ahead, Johanna.
Hi, I'm Johanna from Germany. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I'm Johanna from Germany. I did my master's studies in physics from a fascination for quantum information, and now I'm about to finish my PhD at the Forschungszentrum Jülich in Germany on a project on a semiconductor regarding its suitability to host spin qubits. Through my colleagues, I also got in touch with superconducting qubits, topological insulators, and photonics. And I gained a broad experience from clean room fabrication to cryogenic measurements and data analysis. And soon I will go for a 2 months research stay fellowship at RIG in Japan.
So Johanna, here is the feedback. This is a time when you should have potentially finished it, because it's like a 10 to 20 seconds. So everything that you said in the first 3 statements were great. And then after that, the rest of the details, it kind of, the brain cannot simultaneously process more than 5 bits of information. So you started really well, and you should have stopped exactly there.
Where is there?
So when I stopped you, about 5 seconds before that.
All right. And then
okay, so I should mention that I got the about my research topic go like in detail like I did, and then that I got in touch with the other qubits as well. Or
I think for all the points that you mentioned, there are some things which you have to highlight. You cannot mention everything that you have done. You have to decide what is the most interesting 2 or 3 things that you want to highlight. And the 3 first things that you said, you already had my attention. I'm like, okay, Johanna is great. I want to know her more. And then you said a lot of things. Now I'm confused. Wait, what was I actually interested in? And
right, we get your point. Let's be quick. Johanna, if you take a second, rethink that pitch. Also talk of achievements. You guys are talking too much of what you've done. Talk of 2 or 3 high-level achievements and kind of why you did that. But let's take a pause. Aisha, I want you to also think about your pitch. Again, you talked of what you're interested in. Frankly, no one cares what you're interested in. They care of what you're going to do for them. No one cares about you, right? They only care, what am I going to get out of hiring you? What am I going to get out of you being in my team? So think of it from that way. Like, my name is Aisha. I've achieved this. I've done this. And because of my curiosity, now I'm even learning this. And what I hope to achieve from our communication is to bring these qualities to you. And in fact, because of my ability to learn, I can even do much more in the future years. So again, rethink that pitch and let's come back to you. So both of you stay here. I want to hear your pitches again. Arkin, if you want to go next with your pitch.
Hi. Sorry, I was just wanted to ask about reviewing my CV actually, if it is possible.
Well, let's finish these pitches then. Does anyone else have a pitch they want to review?
Mahima?
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't arrange another light here. It's raining here and power is off. Sorry about that. So I'll just...
You still have better light than Victor.
Yeah, so I'll just switch off my video to avoid this zoomy look if it's required. Anyways, I'll keep it on. So I'll go with my pitch. Thank you guys for listening to us firstly. So I'll go with my pitch. Hi, I'm Mahima Mary Matthews, a PhD student in cryptography from India. Stories on how quantum technologies and advancements disrupt these security solutions actually made me come into quantum studies and everything. This also basically influenced my PhD area. So basically I'm selected my PhD focus around security solutions that is resistant to quantum attacks. I'm also a basic core and application level programmer. I have both industry and academic experience. I'm looking forward to contributing for real world solutions in quantum era. Thank you.
Okay, I would say that's a pretty good pitch. I like that you started off with your interests and went into like what you've achieved. I would be great if you could do some more name dropping, like what university you went to, especially if it's a premier university. And then the other was filler words. Amirali had essentially, you have basically, we don't want filler words. So cut down on words, make it simple, and yeah, shrink everything down to key things you want someone to remember. But I really like that you started off with your interest and then what you achieved and learned at the end of it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So Johanna or Aisha, are you ready with yours?
I'm ready, so I can go.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Bengisu. I'm a second year physics student in Middle East Technical University. I'm a really interest-driven person, so I am able to learn things really fast, like softwares, concepts, in a few days. This summer, I learned deep learning and quantum computing from scratch. And I'm really looking forward to have hands-on experiences in research or laboratories.
Perfect. Any achievements you can highlight there, like programs or fellowships you did or internships?
Not much actually. That's where I'm struggling. I was moderator or administrator for online communities. That's kind of an achievement, but when you're a second year physics student, there's not much to achieve. I also organized a conference about astrobiology, but it's kind of unrelated.
Well, you should definitely mention that because astrobiology is interesting. It is a fantastic new field. And one of the person who is heading astrobiology for NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab is a good friend of Womanium, and she had come and spoken at Womanium last year. And so astrobiology is a good field. That actually sets you apart from other people. Yeah. Everybody is doing superconductivity photonics and you did something different.
Yeah, exactly. You also have done the NVIDIA deep learning course, Q Silver, Q Bronze. So I would also talk about, I participated in the hackathon, solved X problem. So talk of where you're applying your skills as well, a little bit more.
I mean, since it's 20 seconds, I wasn't sure about. I have a few solutions for a hackathon, but time will show.
That would be something, right? Like and because of my interest in quantum computing, I participated in the Deloitte climate change problem. Climate change is important topic for our generation today. And in fact, our team came forth and my role was, helping them and helping our team design these new algorithms to help solve the issue. So sometimes it could just be the one story, but that story then becomes the key focus of Aisha's personality and how she can problem solve. So don't even think of cramming everything about you. You know, university, I think, is helpful to establish credibility, and then maybe that narration of how you learned something, applied it, and did a beautiful job about it.
And in this second presentation, the thing that I noticed was astrobiology. So of all the things that you said, it was something that was unexpected that came from you that immediately grabbed the attention. So everything else doesn't matter as much, as long as you have something very interesting that is actually interesting. So we have Sandra. Sandra, would you like to go 15 to 20
Hi.
seconds?
Yes. I am Sandra Rosales. I'm from Mexico. I finished my master's degree in science computers in University Autonomous of Querétaro. My team was analyzing the complexity of quantum algorithms. I right now interested in development quantum algorithms focus in machine learning.
Okay, lovely.
That's good. That is good.
Yeah.
So,
can you share one?
Yeah. So instead of saying that I'm interested, as I don't know whether you were here before, when you're at a location, that is because you're already interested in that particular field or that particular industry. So what interesting things have you done in what you're interested in?
Yeah.
That is what you should highlight, because that shows who you are. Because I can also say, oh, I'm interested in going to Mars, I'm interested in aliens, but I have never met any aliens. But I have a lot of interest. But if I were to tell you that, you know, last week, Sandra, in the middle of night, I met these fantastic aliens, glowing skin, they came to me. Now I have something interesting to share, but otherwise, well, I'm interested in aliens, but hey, they don't exist, or at least I don't. So come to the point, come to what interesting things that you have done in the things that you're interested in.
So demonstrate your interest. Everyone here is interested in what you're doing, right? Like that's why we are all here. We are in this program together because we're interested in quantum science. So talk about what you've done to really demonstrate that you're interested in something, that you took the effort to learn about it, and you took the effort to achieve something in it. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But we will be here. So if you want to rethink your pitch, Johanna, and then Arkin, and then we could come back to you. So think of how you would rephrase that. Okay. All right, Johanna.
Okay, let's see. I'm Johanna from Germany. During master studies in physics, I found a fascination for quantum information, and now I'm about to finish my PhD at Forschungszentrum Jülich on a project about investigating a special semiconductor regarding its suitability to host spin qubits. To my colleagues, I also got in touch with various other kinds of qubits hardware, and I got a research fellowship from the Japanese Society for the Promotion of Science, and after this 2-month stay, I would love to contribute to bring quantum computing from fundamental research to applications in industry.
I think you could have stopped before the Japanese fellowship, because you haven't, it seems like you haven't started or done it yet. So if you just stop there of what you did with your colleagues, that seems really interesting. I think you could just stop there.
Yes.
And what about, yeah.
No, everything that you have said and done is great. And I think the Japanese fellowship is exactly where you should have ended, because that makes you unique. For example, Arkan doesn't have Japanese fellowship. Isa doesn't have Japanese fellowship. I don't have it, or Prashi doesn't have that Japanese fellowship. So that immediately sets you apart.
Oh, so you're okay. So maybe she could end with like, and now I've been selected for a Japanese scholarship, a fellowship to study this, and maybe just end there. Yeah, and you don't have to exactly tell them I'm interested in X. So let the person digest the information. They'll automatically ask you. So what is your interest with us? What are you thinking about? Yeah.
So Johanna, as well as everybody else, here at Womanium, we are really interested in knowing you, learning about you, helping you, and training you in new fields and new technologies, sciences, etc. But I don't come and say it every single day, right? You know that I am interested in doing all these things, and that is why I'm here. And we know that you are interested in it, and that is why you are here. So that is kind of implicitly understood that we are all here because of some shared interest. Yeah. So that is sometimes that is implicitly understood. So in that short amount of time that you have, you do not need to specify that.
Yeah.
So everything that you have done, Johanna, just education in physics, your research, your fellowship, it shows that not only that you're interested in these subjects, you're doing tremendous things. So that itself is enough.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. It was a great pitch.
Yes.
So good job. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I try to improve it further.
And you mentioned Germany, right? If it's possible, do mention the name of your university too, because people may recognize it, or you might find that some alumni is working from that company here. So they will make that connection. Oh yeah, we hired Friedrich. He also came from that university. You should meet him.
And also, since you are in Germany, I know that Germans are very proper and very methodical every bit. Whereas if you go to some other countries like US, it is more flexible, more open, more fluid. Just like what Alan Brody said today. In America, it is all about telling the stories and telling the gospels. Whereas in Germany, it is all about taking the 13 points and nailing it on the door of the church. And so the approaches are slightly different. So again, it depends upon where you're applying and what culture and people that you're sharing it with. So I think that by German standards, very good.
Okay. Oh, by all standards, I don't know what you meant. It was great. So good job.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Arkan, you want to go next?
Like I asked before, I just wanted to review
Perfect.
my resume.
Are you ready to screen share? I think we've made
Yes,
you.
yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Also, while Arkan is doing the screen share, Johanna, get in touch with the Womanium team. We should discuss and share more about the wonderful scientific work that you're doing, and we would love to highlight you.
Yeah, absolutely. Also,
So,
we have lots of initiatives in Germany, so we'd love to, yeah.
Exactly. So as the Womanium's quantum program in Europe is growing and partnerships are growing, stay in touch with the Womanium team.
We can see your screen, Arkan. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Arkan, we can.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay.
Arkan, feedback, everything is good. Just add some slight formatting changes, like make the font perhaps slightly different so that it is easier to read. Otherwise, everything is perfect. I don't know.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you are done. You just wanted to show your good resume to everybody, right? No, share it again, share it again. Can you, okay, so everybody, this is a very simple but very effective resume. So just take a look at it. The only thing I would change is perhaps the font, because as Arkan is sharing it, it is very difficult to read it clearly. So if you can change some of the font and the formatting, that is all I would recommend. Otherwise, there is a name, there is a location, contact information. I think that you're doing your PhD, right? So exactly, education at the top, because Arkan is doing his PhD, no industry experience. But if he had an industry experience or work experience, that will come above education. But education, then since he's doing education, all the research stuff, teaching experience, which is an extra experience. Next.
Oh, sorry, can I just add some things? So really great with using verbs, present tense and past tense. So that's great job. I guess quick question here is like research papers. This is your resume, not your CV, right? So you've not put the research papers here. Okay.
So it is one page, excellent resume. So can you scroll to the bottom so that everybody can see it? So everybody take a look at Arkan's resume, and it is good that he hasn't put any soft skills, because I know that he has got some good soft skills, and you don't need to state it. One page, everything. So Arkan, would you like other people to see your resume? Would you like to share it on Discord or something so that other people can see it? Because this is exactly how resumes are done in the US. And I think also in other most English speaking countries, Australia, UK, etc. Simple, straightforward, one-page resume, maximum 2 pages. And this is a perfect example of how it needs to be done. Everything is there, everything is clear, everything is in order. You're muted, Arkan, I cannot hear you. Still cannot.
Yeah. In the meantime, if there are other people with questions, please feel free to unmute yourself. Else, I think we can wrap up. We went over quite a bit.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's time for me to get some breakfast here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I just have two quick questions from what we mentioned. Is it preferable to have a personal email or the school email on the resume?
Oh, personally, I would put a personal resume because you may graduate from school. Your school will disconnect you from your email address. They will no longer allow you to use it. And companies do tend to put resumes on the file, maybe for next year's round of hiring. So you don't want to miss out on the opportunity because they couldn't reach you.
Yes, and it depends again, which part of your education you are at. So if you're a first year, second year student, and if you're a first year, second year PhD, then I would put the university email. But as soon as I'm reaching the end of my education, there is
actually I'm at the end of my education. I'm expected to graduate next year. So
also maybe add your LinkedIn, which will help. Yeah.
Sorry?
Your LinkedIn profile, that will help too.
Okay, LinkedIn.
Now we can see your entire email.
Oh yeah, I just emailed. Let me just close. Okay, and one more thing. Do I have to update like this resume to include this Womanium workshop, or since I'm just registering like to this career fair through the Womanium, they know I'm already participating in that?
You can definitely.
No, you don't need to register anything. We will send you the Zoom link for Monday. It's a different Zoom link. So we will send that to you so you can participate. And definitely for you, the US employers are going to be at the later one in August 26, 27. Don't put me on this. Yeah, the later August one. So that's where you can definitely show up.
Okay.
And Prashi, can you just briefly give the set of instructions for the next steps that everybody will be given a new Zoom link for the career fair, which will be on Monday, not on Sunday, as there was a small error in the email that was sent. It is on August 1st on Monday. And it will be a different Zoom link than the regular Zoom link because it is a Zoom that is specifically formatted with the breakout rooms for the companies and all those things. So all the people who have properly edited and uploaded the resumes and CVs, they will be sent the Zoom link because we want the prepared ones to get the advantage. And also it will be easier for the companies if they have got the correct resumes, all the details beforehand, and also afterwards with them.
Yeah, so just please, two things. Keep the upload your new improved CV from everything you've learned today, number one. Number two, look at any sample resumes if you need help. I've put Shantanu's all over Discord. You should all have it. Now you have Arkan as well to learn from. So just learn from them, upload your new CV. And number two, you're going to get the Zoom link for Monday. So that's for students who have finished the Q Bronze, students who have a good resume and have uploaded it, and then the pitch session. So think of your pitch as well. I think a lot of you are, again, rattling off your CV, and that's not going to help you stand out when there are 100 other people. We want you to stand out. We want your personality to come out. We want your unique skills to be presented. So please think of your pitch because that will help, it's ultimately to help you.
And also, if you're really careful and if you're really smart, then you definitely got Arkan's email address when he showed his CV. So if you need any help with polishing your resume, if you're really smart, you have Arkan's email address to get lessons and tips from him.
I'm just gonna post it on the Discord, so I wouldn't mind. So
thank you, Arkan. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So have your dinner, have your coffee. I'll go have my breakfast. Thank you for joining today. This was great. I hope you learned from this. I hope you carry these lessons with you through life, and reach out to us if you need anything.
I just have one last question. The upload of the resume, it's to the Canvas, right?
Yes.
The Canvas assignment?
Yep.
Yeah.
Canvas.
Okay, thanks.
And also, for the rest of the people who are here, we have gone through a long session today. I hope that you remember the lessons of that, not just for today and not just for Monday, but for the rest of your life. It will come handy. For example, the tips from Araceli, as well as the advice from Alan Brody, and some of the feedbacks that Prachi and others had given you. It will benefit you even beyond the program. So remember some of that, write down some of those points that you learned, and it'll be great if you can write it down and share it with others on Discord, as well as on LinkedIn and other places. So that will be great because you're learning something useful and valuable. And then today's session was a long session, and I hope that you learned something really long and long lasting. And we have come through a unique set of journey to this point, to this day, where you're training you to enter the industry. And we hope that you have learned a lot of things and that you are able to benefit from it and apply it in the real world and perhaps create an impact and dent in the real world. And that's it. Even though we have come through a long journey and a long session, in the coming days, we have got a lot more exciting things coming. So stay tuned, stay excited, stay energetic. And we have some very new and interesting things coming, which we have not yet announced. And some of the things just came to our desk yesterday or day before. And we are very excited here. And after doing all these exciting things, exciting speakers, heads of companies, CEOs, engineers from different countries, professors from top universities like MIT, Princeton, etc. But looking ahead and looking at the new speakers, the new programs, the new challenges, and the new companies, we at Womanium are actually getting more and more excited about what is yet to come. So stay tuned, more fun and exciting things to come. See you all again soon. If you have any questions, you know Discord. Otherwise, goodbye. Have a good day.